every time Tessa does the countdown to go live, I always imagine the Tootsie Roll pop owl, except she's counting the wrong direction. But I always want to go a 3 at the end, even though she ends with 1. Hi, Internet. Welcome to Shenanigoons, the Book of Fables. I am Angela, and I think I'm going to start every live with a weird little anecdote that is not hello, just for shits and giggles. Welcome to our D&D show, where chaos has begun to reign a little bit, and you can contribute to it. We are currently on chapter 12 of the Book of Fables. Tonight's episode is called Where the Red Shroom Grows. We will be visiting another family of our party. I'm very excited by this. How are you all doing today, players?
So good.
Considerably better now that I have removed my own toxic chemical bomb that I accidentally snorted earlier this afternoon from my face hole.
Hashtag witch problems.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag witch problems.
Listen, just cinnamon goes in cocoa, not up your nose. It's just very important.
I mean, honestly, debatable, but sure.
Cayenne and chili powder inhalation was probably more of the culprit, along with the stinging nettle, than the cinnamon, but mixed all together, just a bad time.
I feel like anything that has stinging in the title should not end up in your face in any way. Anyway.
Sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, don't.
Sounds like something that we do not condone here at Shenanigoons or at Nerdsmith. Excellent segue. We here are members of the Nerdsmith Network, of which we have a code of conduct that you can find, and it includes do not eat random things you're not supposed to eat. At least I think it should. I will put that in the next director's meeting. Do not condone the consumption of random items on stream. But if you want to learn more about us here at the show, or if you want to learn more about our other shows or the network in general, you can find out more at nerdsmith.org. You can also find us on Discord, which you can find below the stream. We have a link to our Discord community, and we'll put it in chat as well. And please consider joining us. We have a lot of really cool people, including all the creators you see here today on stream. And you can come hang out with us. We have a lot of really cool categories to go chat and find people with similar hobbies and interests. We have, and we're going to start setting up more community events. That's something that I'd like to shoot for in 2021. So we will, we'll see what we do. But please come hang out. We've had a lot of really nice community building over the last year or two, and we'd love for you to join us. Also, if you like the stream today and you'd like to support us more than just contributing to the chaos, which I will get to, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/nerdsmith. You can help support our show here and the Nerdsmith Network in general, help us keep the lights on and keep making the fun, nerdy, free content that we love to make for you. One of the other reasons that we're able to keep doing what we do is because we have the support of a number of really amazing sponsors, just really cool people in general that we're very proud to be associated with and to be backed by. One of which is Eldritch Foundry. Eldritch Foundry is a miniature creating company and a website where you can design your own fantasy miniatures, as well as 3D print them and download digital copies that you can use as, for example, tokens, like what we have in front of each of our players tonight, as well as top-down tokens that you can use in your maps. It's very, very cool and immersive, in my opinion, to have a picture of your custom designed character smack dab in the middle of the map instead of just like the Lego is the ranger and the penny is the druid and this random clip art I put in is this other character. To have actually designed characters there is very, very cool. So please check them out. I know I mixed digital and analog there for a second, and that's just, that's how my brain works now. So, oh well.
It's the future. It could be
it's true. Tabletop Simulator will start. Please tell me that Tabletop Simulator eventually comes out with a junk drawer option that just has random stuff. It's like it's real Monopoly where you can't find certain things and you have to use like, okay, this little wad of paper is going to be the top hat this time, and I really much want this now.
The shot
anyway,
glass is the symbol.
The shot glass stays a shot glass. Thank you. When you're playing Monopoly.
Free parking, and every time you land, you take a shot.
There you go. That's how capitalism works. So our other sponsors include World Anvil. World Anvil is a really amazing website. I use it literally every day. I run a couple of D&D campaigns as well as I run professional one-shots. So I love having World Anvil so that I can keep all of my stuff together. And not only that, most importantly, I can share it with my players. So please check them out at worldanvil.com. You can sign up for free to start and you get a ton of their features right off the bat. But if you would like to continue supporting them and get some really cool customization options like custom URLs for your world and a lot of design options, a lot of CSS customization, you can become a guild member. Guild members get a lot of say in the development of the program itself. Demetrius, who's the head coder, is amazing and constantly coming up with new things. I get pinged on their Discord all the time, and every time I do, I get excited because it means that something new has happened. Not just that they've fixed bugs, but that they are coming out with new features. They have a huge roadmap of things that they're working on, and they did actually just come out with a how-to video about how to use their manuscripts feature because they're trying to push more features for fiction writers. This is not just a program to help you plan your D&D campaigns or your other TTRPG campaigns. It is also really useful for any world building, including fiction writing. And so now you can actually work on your prose, work on your book or whatever, while you're also building out the information about your world in World Anvil. So please check them out. We are tremendously big fans of theirs. And finally, Tessa, our resident dice dragon, would like to speak on our last sponsor for the evening.
Yes, we are also sponsored here at Nerdsmith by the ever wonderful Die Hard Dice. They are fantastic purveyors of all of the polyhedrals that you will ever need.
Almost had it.
So,
there you go. Oh, you have a
tonight
different
I'm
one.
going to be using my new Deary dice. Isn't it lovely? It's so pretty because everybody in this arc is so dear to me. So I'm going to use my Deary dice, right? That's no, not Deary. What?
No.
What?
No. Sound it out.
Dire. There we go.
There you go.
The Dire dice.
Yep.
And because this year is starting off so dire, I made a mistake in our monthly code for Nerdsmith for Dire Dice that I just realized 30 seconds ago.
What's the code?
So our code is actually Nerdsmith-2021, not Nerdsmith-January.
That is okay. If anybody used it, please let us know, but I will fix it right now.
I am so sorry.
My magical skills in Photoshop.
Oopsie doodles. This is what happens when your country falls apart. I can't even really blame that because that happened after I gave you the code. But yeah.
It was on the precipice.
It was on the precipice. It was fine.
No, guess what, Tessa? It will be fixed in less than 30 seconds.
I should have double-checked after Fennec messaged me and went, that was the code, right? I'm like, yeah, that was totally the code. It was not the code. So I've just messaged Fennec and was I'm sorry.
No one should be concerned. It will already be fixed by the time I finish saying this in the delay. So it's fine.
Awesome. So yeah, please go and support our wonderful sponsors over at dieharddice.com. They are phenomenal, from everything from dice towers to rolling trays to metal or acrylic dice, all of your fancies. And when you use the code Nerdsmith-2021 at checkout, you will get 10% off of your purchase. And if you tell them that Nerdsmith sent you, sometimes they throw in some extra goodies in your order as well, just for being a fan and being a friend of us. So thank you guys very much for supporting us and helping support Nerdsmith through the purchase of your very own Dire, not Deary, though they are dear to me, dice.
Yay! I have to say, apropos of absolutely nothing, Die Hard Dice make excellent Secret Santa gifts.
This is true.
Yeah.
Apropos
Does
of
anyone
absolutely
else
nothing.
agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
They do.
Yeah.
Happen to agree with that. Yes, thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Andrew did a very good job with the Secret Santa. Anyway, let's one last bit of business while we are here. We here at Shenanigoons love to embrace the chaos, and especially since our heroes have found all of their powers and abilities in the Book of Faebles, which is sort of adjacent to the Feywild. They have come back home into the material world with a little bit of wild magic that likes to follow them around and occasionally make itself known. Not only that as a group, but Harland in particular.
Yep.
Likes to do that. Harland actively does it. Sometimes it just passively happens to the group.
He's like the kid from the Peanuts where there's just the cloud of dirt all around him, except it's
Oh my
chaos
god,
magic.
your pig pen. Your magic pig pen. That's so good. You came
Oh
from
my
a
God.
farm too. That works great.
Magic big pen.
Your
I
dire
approve.
boar pen? I don't know. Mushroom pen. So, man, why didn't I really should have held on to the mushrooms till we got to your family, Baru.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's
all right.
fine. It's mushroom theme. It's okay.
It is fine.
Anyway, we here love to embrace the chaos, but that chaos has bled out into the real world and also affects our players sometimes. You, as a viewer, can contribute to the chaos by donating to the show. That was a high-pitched noise. So you can go to streamlabs.com/nerdsmith, I believe. I will double check the link, but you can also use the link below, which I also need to make a little more obvious, but in the code in chat. If you donate there, you can, at different levels of donation, make fun things happen. So let's talk a little bit about, I added a thing to the page. Thank you, Tessa.
You're welcome.
So at $5, you can gift a reroll. That means that the players have access to a pool of dice. They allow them to do D20 rerolls at any point during the game, and they can stack them. They can keep rolling to their heart's content as long as they all agree. So that's a benefit to the players. I will not stop you from giving the DM dice. I now understand this power, but I highly, as a former player, I highly recommend you give it to the players. It is, I am a fan of my players. I am a fan of my players' characters. I want them to succeed. So please,
And
give them a
live.
reroll. Oh, I never want you to die. Gosh, where's the fun in that? I can't bother you if you die. And then at $15, you can spin the wheel. The Wheel of Causality is a random wheel of magical effects that mostly affect the players, not the characters. So if you want to have something sort of absurd happen during the game and have our players have to handle something, you can do that for a $15 donation, or a $15 tip. I'm so sorry. Tip is the better word for it. Last week, for example, was it last week? Or was it the week before? It was the week before, 2 weeks before, during combat, just before combat began, Beza and Harland switched characters. They Freaky Friday'd and had to play with each other's character sheets the moment combat began. And that was the first time they got to use their character sheets in combat. Thank you again, Mike, for that, that tip.
My husband, yeah.
Oh, he loves you so much,
The
Heather. He
arbiter
didn't
of
make the
chaos.
wheel do that. He just spun the wheel. So please
That's fair.
consider that. By the way, you can learn more about these, and we're putting them in chat right now, but you can learn more about them by using the exclamation point code in the chat commands. $25 allows you to create an NPC. Give me a name, description, what did I say? Name, a brief appearance, the pronouns for the character, and a fun detail about them, like maybe why they're there or something, just a fun little personality quirk. Give me some of that information, and I will incorporate that character somewhere in the session, ideally sooner rather than later, but I will try my best to make it fit, I guess. That one has been very delightful as well. I've had a player from another game ask me to incorporate their character into it, which has been very fun. And I have heard tell that there might be a few more players that are waiting in the wings to do that to me as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which will be fun because I like doing impersonations. Also, finally, at the $50 level, DM Ex Machina. This is going to be fun. We haven't really gotten to do this much during the history of Shenanigoons. You will give one of the players of your choice DM privileges for 30 seconds. They will be able to control and guide the scene however they see fit. I will step aside and fade into the background, and they will become the DM. Please consider doing that one. I'm very excited to find out what they do with that. And so that is it. Those are the ways that you can contribute to the chaos tonight at Shenanigoons. But don't worry, we'll have plenty of nonsense to offer up ourselves. And that's all I got for it.
Excellent.
So, unless anyone has anything else they would like to bring to the table,
No.
we should begin. So, Chapter 12, Where the Red Shroom Grows. Previously, on Shenanigoons, you as a party were traveling towards your next destination. You had previously been hosted by Harlan's family, the Fire Branches. I always remember because I made it rhyme with ranch. The Fire Branches were very... they seemed like a really nice group of folks. They were hardworking and very, very generous with their time and with their home. It just feels maybe like Harlan has grown a lot as a person and has become his own Furbolg. And after visiting them and helping, perhaps the problem of a slight complication of the appearance of the paper drake, maybe those sort of things kind of drew the party and Harlan elsewhere for the protection of the innocent. So you continued on the train, going to your next destination. You were debating whose family to go visit next, and it came down to Paru. So you were headed towards the chronogram 7. Thank you. I need to make that map. There's the subway map, which I should really just sketch randomly as I'm sitting here during tonight. I will do that tonight. Have a book and a pen in front of me. So, oh, that's right. You sent that to me. Thank you. I have that. I'll go look that up again. Harlan very beautifully rendered the subway or the metronome map. Anyway, you were on your way on the train. You saw a few random also passengers on the train, including a kobold tour group and a very handsome, might have been a drow, just a handsome elf man, purple hair, and what happened? Ooh, pretty pen. Did Logan just, or did
Logan
Jinx
just
make that?
made this.
We're gonna pause for a moment because that's amazing. Someone literally just made that and then handed it to Tessa.
Like, turned the wood and just walked in and handed it to me. Sorry, I just, like, broke my brain for a good hot second.
Tessa, if he ever wants to hand you something to show on stream, please, we should just make a logo for Mini Boss Designs that will just be like, quick break. And
Sponsored
ad
by
break.
Mini Boss Designs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sorry. He made a bowl out of, like, nothing yesterday. It just appeared and...
Well, not out of nothing, presumably out of wood.
Yes, I believe
Okay.
it's called ambrosia maple. It's freaking beautiful. He just
Delightful.
makes things appear. And sorry, I was not expecting a pen to just show up, and I'm like, this is gorgeous. So yeah, it's a
The beauty of live internet streaming
beautiful
in your home.
wood turned pen that he just made from scratch. So
That is
okay,
very
sorry.
beautiful.
It broke my brain.
No, that's wonderful. So, got off track. Handsome elf man. His name is. Did I give him a name yet? I don't even think I gave him a name.
No,
yet.
she hasn't actually.
He's got a
spoken to him.
professorial vibe to him.
I think his name is Sweater Daddy. I think that's what was written on the
That's
inside
right.
of his book.
That's what we were
Yes,
joking about.
Sweater Daddy,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah,
Dr.
Sweater Daddy.
Sweater Daddy.
Dr. Sweater Daddy, PhD.
Mhm.
Yes.
Delicious.
Anyway.
Wait, did you just say Dr. Sweater Daddy, PH Delicious?
Oh, just PhD,
Oh,
but I mean, the D
PhD.
does stand
Yeah,
for
the D
delicious.
is for delicious. I was really confused.
The
And my
PhD
girlfriend
stands
walked
for
in the room at the
fucking
same time as they were
delicious.
saying that and just looked at me like, what?
Anyway,
Oh, amazing.
there you go. Pretty heckin' delicious. Thank you, Kyle. Besides that slight
Sorry.
sojourn into thirst, that we did have a slight interruption as the train ground to a halt because the track that the metronome travels on had been torn apart as something had crossed the path of the train tracks and drilled a tunnel perpendicular to the train track. You offered your assistance to the metronomes and journeyed down the tunnel where you found a vehicular device, a sort of tunneler. And upon approaching it, you were welcomed. You were identified by a goblin person, Dr. Markel von Hammerford Schmidt, also PhD. They're actually just publishing rivals. And Professor von Hammerford Schmidt is in the process of trying to create a sort of a vehicle for moving about underground outside of the metronome system, but with the aim of heading under the walls of the Chroniker. That is not a place that most people are sanctioned to go. It's very much like a video game. You start walking past the boundaries and there's lights and they go, please don't do this or you'll die. So most people don't try. You're told that it's a wilderness devoid of civilization and it's full of deadly things and it's just not worth it. The chaos that the Mechanist colonists have told you they are fighting and combating with their colonization of the island. They insist the chaos is everywhere outside of the chronograms and the chronikers, and it's just best to stay in the walls. But von Hammerford Schmidt doesn't want to do that. So you have promised von Hammerford Schmidt that you would basically cover for them while in exchange you can use the tunnels as you wish. So you keep a little well, you get a business card, I believe, where to find them in Chroniker 7, and you move on your way. You cover for them as some monodrones show up, some little geometrically shaped robots from Mechanist arrive to clean up and repair the metronome track. You offer to cover up the holes where the tunnel was, and you just get back on board. I don't know. Who knows what you saw in the tunnel? You dealt with the monster that was there, and they believed you. So you head back on the train, and oh my God, there is a rhombus. It has to be. Oh God, that's the above ground transportation. It's the metronome and the rhombus. That you're so, Kyle. Anyway, so Kyle, you should just say these things out loud. I'm just saying. You're allowed to interrupt me for gold like that.
Okay.
But if you have it in chat, I have a record.
Yeah, exactly.
So you made your way to Chroniker 7 and got off the got off the metronome train, and it's just in my head now, and found yourselves in a interesting location. The Chroniker that Harland came from was very much an Iowa, Idaho, Midwest farm sort of place, very flat. This is very close to the base of a mountain where it almost looks like a large crater has been dug out of the side of the mountain. And in the shadow...
donation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the tip. What was the tip for?
It's a $25 build an NPC.
Yes, please. Go ahead and let me take a look. If you put it in your comment. If you didn't put it in your comment, please go ahead and put it in the chat so everybody can see your request.
I believe it was put into the comment.
Okay. Yeah,
From
I will pull that up.
Doppelganger.
Oh no. The goddamn doppelganger? No. This is old campaign references. I know who this is probably. Okay, so I'm gonna go pull that up. But anyway,
Sorry.
so no, it's totally fine. So the crater built out of this mountain is in the shadow of it. You have a little village. It's built out of. It's not like when I say they're built out of mud. I don't mean like little huts or anything. They're actually pretty substantial. Mud brick and things like that. Multi-story. It's a pretty substantial. It's more. You find a lot of them are built into the walls of this crater and this large cave. It's got a very sort of it's got a very like Adobe vibe to it. Multi-story in the back. It kind of it's interesting. The village sort of has this shape to it because of it's stacking higher when you have the backs of the cave to support it. And you have found your way into this little town. Now, Tessa, this Chronicle 7 is a lot of underground stuff. This is something that Paru would be very familiar with. Do you have any names for like the town or anything? Or should I come up with one? Or should our audience come up with a name for this little mushroom economy based town?
Let's go ahead and have. I mean, of course, my brain always goes to Smushton, but that is old.
That is canon in this world.
That is canon in this world already. So, I am totally fine with the audience coming up with something. Oh, what's wrong, Angela?
No,
What's
I'm
wrong?
happy. Everything's fine. I'm very happy.
What?
Thank you, Doppelganger. You're forgiven. So,
You're gonna tell the rest of us what's exciting?
The NPC I'm going to introduce, so you don't have to know yet till you have to know.
All right.
Anyway, this actually works out beautifully. So, please, this is the illustrator suite, Kyle. It's the illustrator cave. So, if anybody in chat would like to give us a name, Smushton is a previously established goblin town name. If you want to give me something that is mushroom based, I would welcome a pun. But yeah, throw me some ideas. Anyway, you make your way into this village. It's like much like the way that Harlan. It's really interesting how Harlan and Paru had similar. Geographically different, but sort of regionally similar in the sense of the farms are out a little bit in the boonies, and the town is kind of where you would go for trade, and that's where that's where all the things happen, and you go back home to the farm out in the ways. Then that is sort of what this is like for Paru. This is the town, or this is the sort of the metropolitan side of Chronicle 7. Oliette, as you were traveling, someone other than Kyle named this place. Gobtham. Ooh, I kind of like that. It's called Chanterelle. That is the name of this fancy town. It's the So
sorry, I've got lentil curry. I'm happy. So.
No, it's fine. So the city of Chanterelle is the main hub attached to the metronome station here. Oliette, as I said last time, as you wander down the from the metronome station sort of deeper into this town, you do catch a glimpse of a couple of the other people that were riding the train, including, I will give him a more dignified title, but for the moment, Sweater Daddy has also departed on the train and come here to Chanterelle. He has a sort of course he does, a leather messenger bag where his books are being stored. And and he has his glasses off. They're in his pocket, on his sweater, and he's walking around just kind of perusing in a market that you have all found yourselves in. Now, Paru, you're very familiar with the farmer's market here. The city of Chanterelle is definitely where you go to find all the very cool things that you can find in a city full of goblins. Now, goblins, just as you go through, some of you know what Paru looks like. You've made some assumptions, but she's mentioned before how she looks like a goblin, but she's not quite a goblin. In the way that goblins are goblins. That's a sentence. She can't see in the dark, and she's missing some of the other sort of familiar markers of being a goblin. However, Paru is not necessarily the cookie cutter image of a goblin. You look around this marketplace and you see for lack of a better way to say it, you see a menagerie of types of goblins. Some of them just look like smaller orcish beings. Some of them are a little furry and have big ears and big round heads. You see a couple that are, hanging upside down by their feet, and they have tails. They're rather monkey-ish, but also with that wide head and big ears and kind of little beady red eyes. You see a few that are a little more stocky. There's some like long, lanky, tall, a few inches taller than Paru, goblins. And you see around here in the marketplace this very diverse group of creatures that all live down here under the mountain shadow. That also could have been the name of the city, but it's fine. It's, I guess, stairwell wit when it comes to naming things. I already commit and then I come up with something else. So this marketplace, you see, it's called Mountain Shadow Market. That's what it's called. There we go. So in the Mountain Shadow Market, you find people selling fine goods. You see a lot of sculpture and stone carving. Not necessarily the kind of architecture that you'd see from, say, a dwarven culture, but things like ceramics. You see mud. You see clay creations, lots of vases and bowls and spoons and stuff. Very pretty designs, lots of earth tones, much in the same way that the goblins all come in basic earth tones, different shades of green and brown and tan and that sort of thing. So do the paint colors that are often associated here. You do see a couple of things that'll have red or purple, things that are maybe mushroom based, in terms of just like the kind of pigments you can get down here. You also see food sellers, all sorts of weird stuff. The smell of the market is very, it keeps you off kilter, because sometimes it smells amazing and full of umami and like, yes, and then stuff smells like, what's the word? Durian, thank you. Sometimes it smells like durian. Got a little bit of a corpse fruit vibe. And sometimes you're in a city to some degree, and you wonder sometimes if you've passed a garbage pile or if that's what the food is supposed to smell like. But sometimes you see something that seems like it'd probably be good. Something on a spit, maybe. Things like that. There's not a lot of... You get the sense, Elliot, there's not a lot of locale options here. The goblins. When you're tiny and you have a very fast metabolism, you have to keep consuming. You also find a bunch of what seem to be an intriguing number of entertainers. You're stuck under a mountain. You have to entertain yourself, So you actually see, as you're walking down this marketplace, you see a little stage with a few performers, and you see these goblins in little costumes. There's you only see the eyes, the little red beady eyes coming out from this, like Apparently the costume designer for this production thought more costume means better. So this one is like swamped in like scarves and sweaters and jackets and socks on his hands and boots. He's wearing cleats. A lot of people around here are wearing sort of cleat-like shoes, spiky. Big hat and mittens and a little hand puppet. Looks like a little, almost like a little judge. Has a little gavel. And it's sort of performing. There's no one else has a hand puppet. So you're really wondering what this whole play is about. They're rambling on in sort of this guttural goblin, and there's some like ratty haired kids sitting at the front of the stage, and occasionally they're throwing vegetables. Because what else do you use vegetables for? The goblins might ask. So there's a lot going on in this marketplace. Alcohol, that's very fair. Is there anything like Paru, how are you feeling at the prospect of finding your family right now?
Nervous. Very nervous. She's kind of eyes darting around, kind of looking for anyone that looks vaguely familiar. It's been long enough that she was away that had they actually come back in any normal amount of time, it was very possible that chunks of her family would just be gone. Goblin lifespans are not very long.
And living down here might be, I mean, you lived on a farm, but that's not without its dangers down here.
And that actually kind of tickles something in Paru's head, because most goblins don't live very long. How long was I gone, and why am I still alive and very healthy for my age as a goblin in that case?
It was,
because that's strange.
If you have any reference, which you probably don't, but like the rest of you, I mean, honestly, Oliette might be the only one that has any sense of reference for how old or how long you might have been gone for. She basically understands what a standard humanoid lifespan would be, a mortal or tiefling lifespan.
Yeah.
It's very much been years since you've been here.
Most goblins reach maturity around 6 or 7 and don't survive past 18. So she's kind of beginning, as she's looking around at everybody, the wheels have started turning a little strangely in her head, and she's like, kind of doing some mental math, which she's not very good at, let's be honest. Just to take off her shoes, start counting on her toes. But she looks apprehensive at best.
Yeah.
Flat out
as you're
nervous.
thinking, you almost find that you've been twisting your hair a little bit in your fingers.
Yep. As she is wont to do when she's nervous.
Of course. With that in mind, as you're surrounded by all this activity and noise, there's a little bit of music that just kind of sounds like vuvuzelas. Oh, Oliette loves it here, you can tell. Paru, I assume, unless anyone says different, I assume that they sort of look to you for guidance here about what to do, where to go. What do you do when you're in this big cacophony of like there's business happening, there's noise, there's like shouting, there's happy things happening, there's still that play going on, people are sort of clapping and goofing off and throwing things. There's just so much life here and distraction. Do you let yourself get a little sidetracked by way of procrastination?
It's always nice to bring a gift when visiting folks, and I know my parents really like sticky mud, so why don't we hop over to that bar over there and I'll buy a bottle of smush wine and sticky mud to like give them as a present and maybe soften the hi, I'm grown? What do you think?
Now, they sell mud in bottles.
It's not mud. It's an alcohol. It's just called sticky mud.
It doesn't sound like a very appealing alcohol, and I don't even drink.
I've never tasted it. But they seem to like it, so. And I won't drink smush wine. But, yeah. But let's get some.
All right.
Game to try it.
Alright. Yeah, let's go over to Madcap's Fine Mud. Let's go.
Okay.
And she just starts walking in a different direction.
If I remember correctly, Grillers in the Mist is also.
Yes, thank you. I forgot about Grillers in the Mist. I forgot about Grillers in the Mist. I should have
What
said
was
that.
it? Madcap's Fine Mud?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you go to Madcap's Fine Mud, which is a fairly busy tavern. What is also interesting here is that you see the goblins, but goblins are orcish in nature. There are other orcish people around here as well. You see occasionally the errant troll, very large, bumbling sort of creature. One of them is even acting sort of as a taxi service. There are a couple of pockets and like multiple baby Bjorns hanging from this troll, as there are just goblins that have like climbed the rigging and just kind of sit in there as the troll traverses across the town. There are a few, you see a few orcs and half orcs wandering around, as well as a few bugbears. So long-limbed, furry, sort of orky in like face with like long ears. Some of them have horns, big teeth. You just see a bunch of these sort of orcish in origin or in ancestry sort of folk. And a lot of them are congregated. That does indicate that a lot of the buildings, especially the public buildings, are sized for non-goblin size. So you don't have to like, this is not an Ewok village. You don't have to like crouch to be anywhere. And you see Madcap's Fine Mud, a mud brick building. It has kind of a roundish vibe to it. Several of the buildings do. They have this sort of almost mushroom cap kind of look to them, little domey. And as you go in, you see it's like actually a it's sort of like a multi-story domed kind of place, which is architecturally very impressive in my opinion. So you enter in, and there is a little bit of music playing. It kind of sounds a bit like a squeeze box. So there's like this drone, and then behind that single note of drone that's kind of going back and forth, there is a there's a goblin with sort of bluish gray skin and white eyes playing what looks a bit like a flute, except Oliet, you just from a bardic perspective, even though you come more from a storytelling background, it looks like it almost splits down the center so that it lets out two different notes as you're playing it. It's almost like throat singing, but in an instrument. That there's like a tone going on underneath the thing they're playing on this flute. It's very interesting. So it's very sort of drone with this little like, it's like you're inside a bagpipe a little bit, but not like bad, just kind of pervasive.
I was going to ask, is it harmonious or is it more like discordant?
It's got sort of a, it sort of sounds like it's on the Arabian scale. Like it's got that sort of like almost, I gotta come up with better music terms for things. But stereotypically, when somebody's trying to set something in, like, say, a Middle Eastern country, they'll often use the Arabian scale to give that vibe. It's sort of like that.
Okay.
And it adds to the noise of this space. There's a lot going on. It's very lively. It's very... Harland, you are completely used to this kind of atmosphere, if not the kind of clientele that are here. You have a couple of heights of bar in this place. It's 3-tiered. You have small folk height, medium folk height, and bugbear. Where there seems to be a few goblins running the place, and they're kind of hopping. It almost looks like in the back there's like scaffolding that they're hopping on to get to the different heights to serve whoever comes up to the bar.
Yeah,
And yes.
Yes. Dorian scale? The Dorian scale is what you're looking for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. So
Sorry.
I'm doing my best with whatever's in my Rolodex of random shit. So,
I was just trying to help. And I could be
very
shot by
helpful.
now.
No, thank you so much. And so you see there are a bunch of casks on the wall. Not wood barrel, but clay. There's a lot of ceramic in this place. But so you see these sort of clay barrels stacked on the back of the bar. There's a bunch of goblin written on the wall, and excuse me. And Paru, you lead the group into this busy tavern atmosphere. You could really get lost in here. You could lose hours in here. Who knows what time you'd actually head home.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. So yeah, what would you guys like to try? Do you want to do a tasting flight? Do you want to see if there's anything that tickles your fancy? Because I know that it's not your cup of tea, but sometimes they do like games of chance and like there's darts and stuff.
That doesn't sound bad, but I have a question.
Hmm?
How do you taste a flight?
I don't know. I just know it was called a tasting flight. I don't
Use your
actually know what that
AirPods.
means.
I got you. Okay, excuse me, and I'm gonna like try to get whoever's attention is behind
Sure.
the bar.
Yeah, there is imagine that, a goblin.
Shocked. Colored and shocked.
Who would imagine? So a goblin walks up the the scaffolding to the medium height of the bar, and you see this fellow has again, it's going to be very redundant after a while. Big, long ears that kind of stick out to the side. He's got a very broad brow on him, and he's wearing like a leather cap and a leather apron and then like a chef hat on top of it. And he's like, can I help you?
Yes. New, obviously. And
Welcome.
thank you. We need like a sampling. What's the best thing you've got going on here?
Oh, well, we've got our nitro sticky mud. Just a hint of nitroglycerin on the top, just a little bit. It just like adds a little bit of a kick to it.
I love it. I'm so excited.
It's just okay. So I keep hearing mud. That's like a colloquialism, correct? It's like, oh, you got to get that mud, but you really mean a liquid, right?
Colloquial? No, we don't have any birds here.
Okay. It's like a saying, right?
Oh, well, yeah. Mud is it's kind of like saying shoot or darn. We say mud about a lot of things, but sometimes it's not. It's literal mud. Mud really just means, and obviously you're not from around here. Mud is usually just, how would you call it? Just kind of a way of describing a series of liquids that also have something mixed in it. So we just kind of call anything that's got water in it mud. You got like cherry mud and apple mud and like boozy mud when you don't want to have it too strong. You put some water in it and it's booze mud.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Are you having a slightly less panic attack?
I, as the player, just had like a weird, like my throat was like, don't do this. So, okay.
I have decided now that all mixtures with water are just different
Mud.
kinds of mud.
I love it.
Okay. But it'll get you drunk, right?
Oh, absolutely. We stick them in barrels until it's technically poison.
Okay. Do you have?
How technically?
All alcohol is poison. The two goblins say in unison, almost as if it's the motto of goblins. All alcohol is poison. Welcome to Chanterelle. All alcohol is poison.
I mean, that's why it alters your state of mind. It's technically...
That's why it's fun.
So
how about this? And he kind of like cracks his knuckles and leans his elbow against the bar. All right, so listen, ma'am. What would you say? Oh, was that the wrong thing? I'm sorry. I didn't
It's okay. It's okay. Maybe you didn't know. Ma'am, not so much. You can call me mistress or goddess or she who lightens the room, but ma'am is kind of I've already done the whole existential crisis because of aging like 10 minutes ago. So we're going to skip all of that.
She who lights the room like a lamp?
Yes, like a lamp that you can't stop looking at.
Or the stars.
So in this metaphor, you're like a bug zapper.
So here we need, if you could just give us like a sampling of like 5 or 6 of your favorite.
Sure.
Mugs?
You want what I'm getting? Okay, please forgive me of sort of intuiting your reticence here, and I understand the irony of understanding reticence, but not the word.
What is this education system?
Yes, very specific blind spots vocabulary-wise.
Okay.
What I'm hearing is you might want you and your friends to have sort of like the off-comer special, the folks that aren't from around here. Might want a sampler of something with a little less of an acquired taste of the local fare.
Well, I mean, the local fare is good too, but...
Well, I could take a balance of it. You can kind of ease your way into it.
There we go.
Let's do that, and then maybe some spoons,
All right.
just in case.
Oh, they always come with spoons.
Mhm.
Okay. Just think of it as alcoholic pudding. It's okay.
Oh, you mean dairy mud? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yes. Yeah.
Is
Was
that why
that's
they
amazing.
ask?
Okay, that's good.
Is
Yes.
that why they ask you what's your poison?
Oh, that is very much where that comes from, I'm
Mhm.
sure. And my accent went very different in like 3
Harlan's slow
sentences.
mind is just.
It sort of adds a little bit of what would you call it? A little bit of a risk, the illusion of risk when you're drinking socially. Makes it sound dangerous.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay, Harlan. Don't think too hard on it.
Oh, buddy,
Just
here,
take that
have
thought
a
and just-
no, here, have a lolly. Sometimes this happens. And he reaches down and he pulls out a lollipop that has like a little scorpion in it. Here you go, buddy.
Oh, those are tasty.
Thank you.
Oh, you want one? I just
Not
came out with a
good.
cup.
I mean, I kind of do.
Oh, you want like those got a bit of a kick to them, and then you got like, and then he pulls out this jar that's full of lollipops with different types of bugs on them, in them, and he's like, well, you got like the nice little like, actually, I really should have said that the grasshopper one had a bit of kick to it, but I'll remember for next time.
Opportunity.
Yeah. So there's like, and he pulls out like. For anyone who likes, I'll keep it really short if anyone doesn't like bugs. There's like a little spider, there's like a little grasshopper, there's like a cockroach, there's like a worm, there's like mealworms, lots of mealworms, because they just...
Give me the spider one.
Oh, ooh. Do you want regular or spicy? And the
Spicy.
spicy one has bright...
Always.
The spicy spider has bright colors on it.
Always spicy.
Oh, well, here you go.
Perfect.
This man, I don't have a name for him, but
I love
I'm
him.
enchanted
Love
by
him
the
already,
fact
though.
that-
That's
You know who this
Madcap.
is?
That's Madcap.
Yes, because he has the... Oh my
It's
god, I
Madcap.
feel like so dumb about this. Of course.
And
So-
can we get I know the musrumas come in here a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Can we
I
get
know
a
them.
bottle
They're
of whatever
locals
their
all the time.
favorite is to go? We're gonna go
Oh,
visit.
sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, please please, well, take your time. Have a great stay here. Please tip your servers if they help, and please avail yourself of all the things we got going on. The arm wrestling tournament's about to start, so if you want to watch or you want to, I know you, big guy. And he looks at you, Harlan. You seem like you got a bit of I don't have a good thing for that. You look big.
Well, thank you. I've been known to be big.
That's good. So yeah, if you got any inkling for any kind of mimes, arm wrestling, we got our regional champ over there. She's very much looking forward to testing the mettle of the folks around here again.
Well, shoot, yeah, I don't mind wrestling.
Beza, you might enjoy that too.
I mean, maybe.
Oh, I don't know if we have a child division.
Oh, trust me. Where is she? And Paro looks over to. Look over.
Oh, she's over there. You can't miss her, Katora. And you see over there a half-orc with a big shaved side part, and she's wearing leather and furs with no sleeves, because sleeves are bullshit. And you see her just sort of like sitting there watching a kind of an orcish man with gray skin sort of almost like psyching him out by just watching him silently. And eventually they like put their hands up, and everyone's just kind of like stamping on the table watching this go. And like within 2 seconds of a little like cocktail napkin getting thrown between them and the fight starting, you watch as this half-orc woman sort of grins behind her tusks and just slams him down on the table, and everyone's just like, oh, there's like the crowd goes wild. And she just sort of like she just kind of like stretches out her arm and shakes his hand, and he's just like, yeah, okay. And he walks away, and she collects a bunch of coin, puts it in the corner.
She's got this. He looks over at Beza and is like, yeah.
All right.
Out of character, this is where I remind you guys I'm a two-handed weapon fighter, not a strength fighter.
It's fine. It's fine.
They want to watch it anyway. Yes, big fella. Do you want the sign-up sheet?
I do want the sign-up sheet, but what I'd really like to know is why did I just get thirstier?
She has that effect on people.
I was like, oh no, she's hot too. What are we gonna do?
If you'd like, I could, if you want to get in sweet with her, I can give you her favorite drink, and you can like hand that over, and you'll maybe like, a little psychological warfare before you give me your
Well, that sounds like it'd be mighty polite in an impolite way. I think that sounds great.
All right, I'll get you one right now. Hold on. And he pulls out a bottle. Has the cork looks like a mushroom. He pops the cork off it, and as he pours, it pours like, I don't have any Peppacoa on me. It pours like syrup. Oh. It's dark and rich, and he pours it into like a sort of a 1 cup sized shot glass as you watch this sort of pour very slowly into the glass. And he throws a little like that, a little shaker of something, like a little spice. It kind of looks like cinnamon. And then he puts like a chunk. He takes a chisel and he goes into like the ice box, which is literally a box that is filled with frozen ice. It is just one block of ice that he chisels a chunk of it out, and he pops it on top. And he goes, "Here you go. At the show."
Oh my god, I'm so here for this.
Mighty obliged, thank you. So he will grab a napkin from the bar and place it on top of the glass, and then
beautiful.
Just start walking over to the arm wrestling table.
Harlan.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't be too eager, right? Like you can be into her, but just like pretend just a little bit that you're like not that into her. Trust me.
You're into her, but you're like not.
You've got this.
Hi, my name is Alan. I don't believe that we've met. I have 2 independent groups of groupies that like to follow me around from town to town. I think that I have known my way around talking to the ladies before.
I mean, fair, but just reminding you.
I just have never talked to one with sleeves like.
You mean none?
It just turned like mid sentence, just turns and keeps walking.
Oh boy, this is gonna be interesting.
As he is walking away, I'm just gonna pat him on the shoulder and cast guidance on him, just in case.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Harlan, you just sort of feel a little like, maybe I can do this. Just a little hint in the back of your head. Oliette was being very supportive. He just sort of assumed that's probably what was going on. And you head towards the arm wrestling. Beza, do you also join? Or do you think you're just gonna watch? That's also
I think
fine
at least to start, Beza wants to watch.
Sure.
Also, because the rules are probably different depending on where you're at for the wrestling competitions. So she wants to make sure she knows what's going on.
Absolutely. So Harlan, you walk up to the arm wrestling, and you just kind of see people patting Katora on the back, and she's like, all right, fine. And you see it's someone has sat down again, kind of a sort of little bit of a hesitation, as this very furry fellow, very small furbolg, not furbolg, fuck, you're a furbolg. I meant bugbear. A very thin young bugbear, not even like fully grown into his shag yet. He's just kind of like a little loose around certain spots with his fur, and he just sort of sits there and stretches his hand. His arm is way longer than yours normally, so he's got like a lot of, it's very weird proportions to try to get this arm wrestling position in, but he's sort of waiting, and Katora is just kind of being glad-handed and stuff, and she's just kind of sitting there at the table, again doing this like assessing quietly sort of move. She seems to see if she can psych people out by just staring them down, and you walk up beside her.
Harlan will just stand there very polite with his like hand over the top of the glass and supporting the bottom of the glass, and just kind of waiting, just being polite.
Okay. And you she kind of after a moment glances over. Can I help you?
Well, I think that this gentleman right here was demanding your attention before I was here. I can wait my turn.
Huh, fair enough. All right, let's go, buddy. And he's okay. And they both get into a position, and she looks over at you, Harlan, is like, "You mind?" And she sort of nods at the napkin on your glass.
Oh, certainly. And hands the napkin down.
She kind of, okay. And she grabs it and hands it to the guy in the middle of the table, and he gets ready to toss it in the middle. And on a count in goblins, and you just assume it's a 3, 2, 1, everyone just sort of starts pounding on the table as the guy's counting down, and you watch as she's just sort of and eventually they start, and there's just this kid, this young bugbear is like remarkably strong at the front end of this, and pushing harder and harder and harder. You watch as she's give me an insight check as you watch her face as she's working on this guy's balance here on his arm.
That
a little bit of
15
strain between them. She is playing him like a fucking fiddle. She's just sort of watching, going, whew, and this bugbear is just like watching, and And she's just like stretching her other arm, like, oh, hold on one sec. Okay. Boom, and completely drops him on the table. And the bugbear's just like, oh, says some curses in Goblin.
Paru about
Which is
falls
honestly
over
what
off the chair.
most Goblin translates into, mostly cursing. So it's not that unusual. And she sits back on the chair. Okay, so what's up?
This is from a gentleman at the bar. Believe that it is your favorite drink. I was asked to deliver it to you.
Thank
My name's
you.
Harlan, by the way. The
Harlan.
gentleman at the bar was me.
That was okay. Hi, Katora Youngtaker. Nice to meet you.
Harlan Firebranch. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
You do not seem like you're from around here, and you do not seem like an arm wrestler.
I've been known to wrestle a bit.
Fuck. Anyway, this is literally the second day in a row Anyway, it's fine. The life of a DM. All right. Thank you for the drink. You should consider entering. No,
What?
do not. That was not what I meant, Chris. You shut your eyes. Your face is too loud right now.
Well, you should consider entering. Let's see here.
You should consider entering the competition, she says, because we go rewind, and this is actually what was said.
Mm-hmm. Don't mind me, I'm going to post that on Twitter.
Oh, fuck off. So Katora points at the little line of hesitant folks. There's a very, very thick goblin dude, and a what looks like maybe a drow, and a not sweater daddy, different drow, old burly drow, and another couple of half orcs. They look like twins, actually, a little androgynous and kind of scarred in not quite mirrored ways, but almost. And so there's this little line of folks, and it's like, well, it was a round robin till I showed up.
Well,
so you might have to wait in the back of the line.
Do y'all mind if I cut in? I'll just...
Every single one of them glances around and glares at you from the line.
She's trounced every single one of you that I've watched ever since I came in the building, so it'll obviously be quick.
Yeah, just hold on, guys. I'll clear them out and then we'll be fine. So it's a 10 gold entry fee.
Oh. Well, all right. I guess that y'all are back on.
How about I spot you? And she looks down at the pile of gold that's next to her, and she puts 2 5 pieces down.
I couldn't. I'd be very obliged to you.
Oh, please. You're new in town, right? Consider me the welcome wagon. Fuck.
I don't even have to do anything. I'm just standing here.
That's
adding
happening.
to
That's
my
fine.
tweet.
Consider me the welcome wagon. Oh well.
I think at this point maybe Beza does come over. She's trying to be subtle and like behind him. Harlan, if you want to enter, I've got some stuff we could see if they do. Do you guys do trade, or does it have to be gold?
Doesn't have to be. You know, I also trade in other things. Not just money. Fuck off. Fighting for control of the scene. So it's getting away from me. No, I trade in I'm trying to think of the word. I trade in stories.
Well, it just so happens that I might just be the richest man in the room in that case.
Oh, well, color me curious now. Besides green.
Would you prefer me to ante up beforehand, or would you want to have our little wrestling
no.
match?
Sit.
All right.
Then I'll it'll be faster.
Ready when you are.
All right. So, and she looks down at the goblin that he's had his nose on the table waiting, like kind of glancing between the two of you. This goblin's like, I ship it. And and he sort of kind of sits back up on his on his tippy toes again and has the little napkin. He's ready?
7.5, by the way. Feet tall.
Oh.
I saw you looking, so I was just making sure that you just seemed interested.
Just put your hand down, doof. So yeah, just put your hand down, doof. Let's go.
He's had his arm up, like he's
fine. Then he's sure, and then she takes your hand, and you both have. There's almost like a pad down that's like almost like a sewed suede pad. It's very like professional for like an arm wrestling thing. It's just so you don't hurt your elbows. Should not factor into your ability to do the arm wrestling. So you both lock hands, and it takes a second. Like you both sort of adjust to make sure you got like the grip you want when you're doing this. And so the goblin. Okay.
You seem to have some decent amount of calluses on the bottom of your hand. You a working gal?
I do odd jobs here and there, and she glances over to the wall, and you see a broadsword leaning against the wall.
All right. Fascinating.
Yeah, well, like I said, stories after. She gets a little serious.
Oh, right.
For such a guy who has such a striking figure that would intimidate most people, you like talking to procrastinate a lot.
I believe that is an accurate statement.
All right, Buzzy, go on. And so Buzzy, the goblin, is like, okay. And then starts counting down in a language you don't speak, or you don't speak Goblin.
Nope.
No. So in a language you don't speak, but you've heard it enough that you know it's like dun dun dun, and then you go. You see the like pounding on the table of people, and she's just kind of like staring you down in this like, oh god, this woman's gonna murder me kind of way, and when the one gets hit in Goblin, you both start and give me a strength check.
All right.
I didn't expect to have to make stats for her, but here we are. I really should have random NPC stats planned here.
It's a 17 on the die.
17 on the die, okay.
For a total of 17.
You don't have Calypso's stats memorized.
Oh, I do not. Are you kidding me? Hold on a second. She rolled a 14 on the die, but it will depend on what her stats are. So give me 2 seconds.
If I remember, she was a Path the Zealot Barbarian.
Yeah, well, she ain't gonna be right now because I gotta get her to. There we go. Okay, that's a 17 on the die. Or 17 total.
The sexual tension. Oh.
So you both start stressing against each other's arms, trying to push the other one down, and you sort of hit this little bit of standstill between the two of you. And she's sort of grinning, and then it falters a little bit, and then the grin, it's weird. You notice the grin she normally wears shifts a little bit. And you almost get the sense that maybe it's a little more genuine now. It's a little less of like a of a like pro wrestler showmanship sort of like yeah sort of grin, and more of a like okay, all right, kind of reaction from her as you both, as the cat goblin falls off the table drunk, and you both, and give me another athletics check.
That's a 16 on the die.
Okay. She rolled less than that. So you actually start this cat goblin standing next to Paru.
Yeah.
Just sort
I
of
found the trust him
swaying
again.
like.
No, it's
Oh,
just
you found
Button. It's just Button hanging out.
Oh.
Button!
It's the drunk cat goblin dancing next to Paru to the droning music.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
So, Harlan, your hand, you start getting a little bit of leverage, and you're at like your 11 o'clock, and you're sort of holding there, and you're slowly going down to 10, and she's kind of sitting there just straining a little bit. A little sweat bead going down. And she kind of shakes her head like, you son of a bitch. Give me another athletics check.
A 13 on the die.
That is a non-natural 20. And she starts pulling back, and you go back to 12, and she's at 1, and she's at 2, and she's at 3. Give me another athletics check. One last one.
A 14 on the die.
19 on the die. And just not in the same, like, boom, complete win. She just sort of looks at you. Kind of like a better luck next time. And just very gently bops your hand on the back of the table. It feels like she could have hit harder, but she didn't. And everyone's just like, whew. Like there's a bit of applause, there's a bit of nervousness. And she's just like, all right. Yeah, good job, man. And she puts her arm out to shake.
Well, that was a mighty fine wrestling match.
I was actually like, would not mind what?
Doing that again sometime.
Absolutely. Always need practice. And
I'm playing
you're
good
the
for
first one
that.
that actually it's been a few hours since somebody gave me a run for my money on that, so. And she takes the
I
2
ain't got any
5s
of
that
that.
she put on the table and puts them back in the pile that she had. Good job though. And thank you for the drink.
Absolutely. Now I have to figure out how to pay for that. Have
She
a
hands
pleasure.
you a few silver.
I was gonna tell some stories.
Pay for the drink. Then you can tell me
All right.
stories.
Well, all right, but what?
I'm taking a break. She gets up and everyone's like, ah, and she just kind of like pours all the gold into a like. It's not a fanny pack because it's slightly to the side, and it's not a fanny pack. But she pours all her gold into a fanny pack.
It's a belt pouch.
It's a belt pouch, and she gets up and you watch as Buzzy the goblin sort of hops up onto the table and starts like wiping it down. He seems to be a busboy that got roped into throwing the flag.
A good bean.
Yes, he's a good bean. So, Katora seems to be following you. He's like, all right. Want to go like get a seat or something? Or
Well, sure. Let's. I'll introduce you to my friends. One of them's local.
very nice. Perfect. Lead the way.
So he'll lead her back over to the group, and I'm sure Beza is like, right, didn't forget about her being there.
Yeah, you follow along. You see that this worked out very well. And so yeah, Paru and Aliette, you see Harlan and Beza walking back with, as Madcap told you, Katora Youngtaker, the regional arm wrestling champ / Delver. She's an adventurer for hire.
Nice.
I have, meanwhile, been trying to sample this mud.
So, this flight you've got is a collection of liquids, we'll call them, of varying dilutions and thicknesses. But you find that for the earthiness that is present in all of them, some of them like genuinely have like kind of it seems like they add some spices to them that actually cut the dirt vibe. But I mean, you've had things before that would be described as peaty. You just didn't expect to ever be drinking something that just would be described as peat. And so there's one that genuinely tastes like just the peaty part of scotch. See, I like the peaty scotches. Anyway, there's one that has a mushroom umbrella. It's a Chanterelle special. It's got this little flat mushroom. And so a lot of them have like a slight umami to them. One of them actually tastes a little bit like a Bloody Mary, but with beef stew instead of tomato.
Okay.
Those are not unpleasant flavors.
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
It's vodka. It's something that was it's some root vegetable that has been fermented into a clear liquor, so it works, and yeah, so they're not bad. They are definitely an acquired taste, but you do get the familiar and welcome slight warm feeling that alcohol imparts. So it is doing the job. So yeah, the two of you see Keturah Youngtaker coming back with your friends, and she just kind of glances at the two of you. Very she seems like a pleasant enough person for having the last name Youngtaker, and and she kind of grins. She's got these, like I said, she's got these sort of like big tusks and a little bit of scarring on her forehead, like a couple scratches. She seems like she's definitely seen some action.
Nope.
I embrace it. Yeah, and so Harland, you can introduce your friends.
Keturah, this is Beza. I believe that you might have been introduced to her earlier, and Oliet, and Paru, whose family is local. She's Paru Masroom.
Masruma,
You
yeah.
familiar with that family?
Masruma. All right, yeah. I know that place. Nice to see you. Welcome home, I guess.
Thanks.
You can call me Kat. It's fine. And she shakes both your hands. Oh, you got yourself a sampler.
Yeah, I figured, first trip to the hometown, they should sample the offerings such as they are.
No. And Keturah hands you her drink, Oliet. No, you gotta try this.
Is this going to taste like beef stew and or dirt?
Only the tiniest hint of dirt. Tiny.
Fuck it. Okay. And I'll take it, and I'll take a medium swig of it.
It tastes like a liquid. No, don't, just let me finish. It tastes like a liquid dark cherry pie with like bourbon mixed. And then right at the end, just a little bit of dirt. Right at the end. But most of it is dark and burny and very good.
This is like a cherry pie made out of like those old-fashioned like maraschinos, like those like super
the
dark maraschino
Luxardos?
cherries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
What is this called?
Oh, Sticky Mud Premium. Top shelf. It's basically not sticky mud. They just like to market it like that.
Beautiful. Good to know. Thank you. And I'll
Yeah,
just-
no problem. It is incredibly expensive. I'm sorry. She points at Arlen.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I paid you for it. It's fine. Thank you for the drink.
It's all right. He's got lots of stories he could tell you to trade it, so it's fine.
Ah, that's right. So, you guys are from out of town. You gotta have all sorts of tales to tell. Why are you back here? This is a back Stillwater town. Why are you kind of...
Yeah. Just
Well,
see the family. Say hi.
No offense. I mean, I'm from here too, but
No,
like, there's shit to
it's-
do.
It's considering the places that we've come from recently. It's a hole under a mountain. I get it.
They really should put that on the brochure.
It's a hole under a mountain.
all alcohols are poison. Yeah,
All right.
it's
Yeah,
there's a lot of
that's
getting out
on-
of here.
Get our two town slogans.
It'll have to be like a sub slogan.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for one of the subdivisions, we have the
Mm-hmm. Quakey Acres, it's down near the fault at the mountain. Anyway, so Harland,
Mhm.
enchant me. Tell me a good story.
Oh, right. Because I could do the first if you wanted me to, but I know that some people don't take kindly to that kind of magic.
Metaphorical enchantment, please.
Right. I understand completely. So some consensual storytelling it is. There was this one time that Beza and I traveled
Ba-
over.
Aye.
Beza, right. Traveled over hill and dale for many a day to find the most beautiful woman in the land.
This
She
is
was
the
actually
weirdest
named.
pickup line I've ever heard.
No, she was named the most beautiful woman in the land. She was the Queen of Beauty, as it were.
Her Highness of Beauty, technically, but Queen of Beauty was, another title.
Easy to remember at the very least.
All right,
Anyway.
all right. So
So when we got there,
she sounded like
she
that.
made
Um,
she made us into constellations. We were painted up in the sky.
Whoa, cool.
There was all sorts of pretty pictures up there that I didn't even begin to understand. And then we came back. That's only one of my stories. I've got a lot of them that are a lot better than that one. It's just that one's inspired by the moment.
Mm-hmm. There. That's a slightly better pickup line.
It may sound like a pickup line, but they actually did do that.
Okay.
And they actually did get put in the stars, ironically enough. It's a little hard to explain. Honestly,
Dragons
though,
are real. There's weird shit. Whatever.
if you want stories, not, not doing Harlan any disservice, but Oliette is the storyteller of the four of us.
Oh yes. She is much more eloquent than I could ever be. She knows lots of words, and she can spell them.
Oliette.
That's me.
So, I'm curious, what kind of stories you got?
Out of character. Did we have
Yeah.
time to do a short rest on the train?
Yes, you did.
Okay. So,
Ooh.
one moment, please.
My brain just went, moment, please. Oh, Lord.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm gonna say, okay, I've got one for you.
And she sort of
There
settles in.
are tales told all over the land of this enormous, statuesque, deeply impressive man. They call him Firebranch.
She
He
glances.
towers.
Her eyes kind
Not
of.
him. Not him. Not him.
Oh, okay.
He towers over all men. All quake in fear and arousal as he passes.
Okay.
There is no man like him. He has felled knights, slayed dragons, particularly those of the paper persuasion.
Mm.
He comes from a powerful family of exquisite taste.
Specifically corn.
Hot sisters.
Oh, corn and mushroom. That's fine.
And hot sisters.
And hot sisters. Corn and mushrooms and hot sisters.
Incredible.
They say, if you are lucky enough, you can curry favor with this giant of a man. And a single night spent in his company could make all your dreams come true.
Now this is the weirdest pick up.
I want to, so there is an effect to this, but I would love to dumb it down because I don't want to actually injure this person. I just want to knock her out of her chair. Like she physically gets knocked out of the chair. Doesn't get injured, but just gets pushed back as if somebody had pushed her backwards.
Okay, sure.
No force damage, please.
No,
I don't want to start a bar fight.
She almost rolled a 2. So she this is actually going to be pretty impressive then because she rolled a nat 20. So the chair, are you pushing her or pushing the chair?
Ooh, the chair is sexier. I'll do that.
So she's kind of leaning forward a little bit, listening, half amused at this because she doesn't completely believe you about it not being about Harlan. And the chair jerks back, and you watch as she slams back, she falls backwards, but she catches herself on her forearms and just kind of pushes herself back up. Yeah. She can play at this game, and she just kind of chuckles. Well, that is quite the tale.
I do what I can.
I need to meet this person.
Maybe I'm related.
He's
to
got
him.
my name. I never met this man.
It's destiny.
I'm gonna go get one of those drinks, and I'm gonna get up and go to the bar and leave Harlan to
be Harlan.
Pride.
To thoroughly ruin whatever you just set up for him.
This is as selfless as Oliet gets.
I'm
trying to help you.
It's like he looks at Cat and it's like, I don't know about you, but I plan on meeting this person. And he sounds
like
pretty impressive.
It sounds like your new life's mission. Yeah. She just kind of smirks.
Paro has this look on her face like, oh, Harlan.
This is when I should probably mention that one of his nicknames where we've been traveling is Harlan the Humble. He literally doesn't get it.
Cute and dumb. That's a good combination.
Oliet was talking about you.
Oh God.
I mean, to be fair to Oliet and Harlan in the story, I have heard some of the harlots and the harlequins make comments that match up pretty close to the last one she said.
That is true. I mean, even the Queen of the Folk was all about that life, from what I heard.
Oh, a queen. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
But a down to earth queen, she was cool.
Cat is playing in the space with you all right now. Thoroughly amused. Still charmed by him, but more just oh, such a dummy. But not off put by it, just more this is the least conscientious attempt to pick her up that she's ever had. So she's like, okay, it's okay. I like them clueless.
It's like, to be fair, like Harlan's been dealing for the past like
women
tens
who have,
of years.
people who have thrown themselves at
Exactly, like that know who he is, and so all of a sudden he's like, I got me to work with. That's it. And so he's like,
well,
no, see.
and so you spend like a little while all hanging out, and she's not dissuaded. It seems like the arm wrestling match sort of disperses a bit. Like pretty much she's not there. No one's gonna. It's not really. It's less of a tournament and more of a can you beat Katora. And she buys a round for everybody that wants one. And is curious. So Paru, how long have you been out of town? Maybe I can catch you up.
Oh, that's a really good question. So she kind of looks over at everybody else. Oliette, about how long were we gone out of town?
I mean, the conversion is tricky, but between
Time zones.
6 and 8 years, maybe 10, but the math's a little wonky.
Yeah, about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think about 10 years or so. Yeah, but I mean, it really just seems like it was yesterday. Maybe 2 days ago.
That is a heck of a...
Plane hopping, it's a bit of a wonkiness.
Oh, God. Yeah, I imagine. I haven't done much of it myself, but
Yeah,
it's on my bucket list.
So,
Lots
I mean,
of layovers.
Technically, on this plane, we've been gone 3 days.
Oh, well. So you were here like last week.
Well, to everybody here, yeah. We were on the other plane for 10 years before we came back.
Dang.
So, yeah.
So you guys had a job or something?
Yeah, kind of like a job, yeah. It was a...
Yep.
Yeah, it was a cool thing. It was cool.
It was sort of like what's the word? Internship?
Yeah.
Huh. Like an apprenticeship, like someone was teaching you the ropes and you went out
Yeah.
adventuring with them?
Exactly. It was like an apprenticeship. That's the word I was looking for. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Uh,
Yeah, I know a few folks that have done that. It's been...
yeah.
Had to kind of learn the ropes myself, but I can see the benefit. Having a wing to be under.
We sort of fell into it.
Nobody plans on doing this for a living.
True. I mean, yeah, so, that's the funny thing is, my parents are still gonna think of me as a 3-year-old kid.
They always will.
Yeah.
She kind of rolls her eyes. Yeah, you can get, you can spend your whole life winning feats of strength and slaying monsters, and then you suddenly watch as the broadsword from across the room is starting to kind of make its way over under Buzzy as he's trying to drag it over, and the pommel hits Cat in the shoulder, and she's like, oh shit, thanks Buzzy, sorry. She kind of props it up on the table, and they'll still see you as just little kid in tusk braces, and they'll never... Yeah.
I mean, to them it'll only be last week that I got sent off to the reclamation center for destroying their mushroom harvest.
Wait, wait. That was you?
That literally was
What?
last week.
Everyone was talking about that for a solid couple days. That was you tied yourself to the building and wouldn't let them in because mushroom are friends, not food. I remember the sign. Yeah. Wow. But you were like,
Yeah. Like I said,
shit is crazy.
plane hopping. It's
You need another drink. Madcap, we need another round. They deserve it. But shit, no, you guys were at the Reacclimation Center.
Yeah.
Ooh, I had some friends that got dragged out there. They came back like there was like nothing there.
Yeah, we took the opportunity of the internship rather than, losing ourselves.
Fair, man. Fair. Yeah, we, I mean, they're not around right now. I mean, they're not around here, but you go a little further into the farms, there's those robos all over the place. Little clockwork dudes. Keeping everybody in line now.
Well, they kind of look like real official, like
they're a little more bumbly than that, but there's enough of them that they're kind of intimidating.
Are those the ones that look like the giant metal eyeballs?
Yeah, there's a couple of those. There's a few that are kind of like a bunch of boxes stacked on top of each other.
Right.
But they got... Not that I'm scared of them, but they're backed by scary things,
Yeah.
You mess with them, undoubtedly worse things are going to wander away. So I tend to just break loose and not hang around town very much.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be here long.
Smart.
I don't know, maybe we should... I mean, I should stop in, but... I don't know.
I mean,
Are they out by the mushroom place, or are they further out past the...
I mean, no, they're all over.
Okay.
They've pretty much gone a little more regimented with the way the farms are run. They're still trying to implement some processes, I guess, but
Cool.
it was pretty short after you left.
Yeah, I was gonna say, pretty much after you 3-year-old goblin girl decided to stage an insurrection of mushrooms. So...
There was a bit of a scuffle after you left too.
Really?
That's why they showed up.
What kind of scuffle?
Like you said, little 3-year-old goblin gets dragged away to go get reacclimated, and some folk didn't take too kindly to it. There's a bit of a protest of morals in middle of town. Is quite a thing.
Protest of morels, perhaps?
They
Very.
had morale issues with what was done. Yeah, it was you inspired a little bit of an uprising yourself.
well, look at that. You got your own plum.
Yeah, we'll just see if my
'cause
parents are still
You
alive.
haven't seen it then.
Seen what?
Oh shit, no, we're getting these to go. And she gets Madcap to like put lids on a cup, like basically like a sippy cup.
I'll take the bottle for my limit for my parents too, because I'm like, all right.
Yeah. It's
Oh my god!
it's a
Oh my god! It's like a hero of Canton moment. I'm just gonna be like, there's this fucking like chain, and the mudder's milk, except for it's sticky mud, and then there's just this statue of Faru.
God.
What is the policy on to-go, like, casks, tubs? What's the policy on, like,
Vats.
how
Route
big
44s?
can you carry it?
Yeah,
You pay for it?
maybe.
Sure.
Then they don't.
Probably.
Then they don't care. You make a mess
Wonderful.
of yourself, they'll deal with you, but
Never. Never.
open carry responsibly.
Beautiful. How much would that cost me?
A whole cask of
Not like a keg, like a
barrel.
like a
Like a
guy
growler.
that I could like
like a growler, like a
strap around and like carry it like a pseudo bag.
So, we're gonna say like maybe twice as big as this.
Yes.
So like a gallon jug.
Perfect.
Is
Yep.
what you can have. So a growler, a big brown
That's the
ceramic, in this case, a ceramic, not a big brown glass jug, with a pop top on it and like a rope holding the pop top to the handle. They hand that to you for the whole apparatus. If you've never had one, most people just like bring their own in to get it filled. For the whole apparatus, it would probably cost, we'll say, like a gold or two. Well, no, we're doing like a gold equals $10, I think.
I knew
Kinda
she
what we're doing.
gave Harland a couple of silver for the glass, so I'm not sure. I don't know what the
Yeah,
conversion rate is here.
well, it's been a while since I dealt with the money, and I think I'll probably retcon this a little bit, that for the purposes of making this as easy as possible, we will probably say that a gold basically equals $1 so that we don't go crazy trying to convert things. So I will say that the growler probably costs about 15 gold for the whole, like the straps, like the leather strap and the jug and the drink, the first refill, or the first fill, the whole thing.
So does that mean I can come back and get a refill included in this price?
Oh yeah.
Can either of you guys spot me 5 gold?
Yeah, here.
Thank you.
I will start, well, if you start taking jobs or something, I will start
Okay.
giving you money.
We
to,
did some
fix
touring.
this.
We did some touring before we left.
That's fine. I mean,
I got paid in margaritas though, so
That's true. We did pay the margarita.
my plan is basically
Only it's just
to
on a
have-
giant pub crawl.
I honestly am.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
my
so
plan
happy.
is basically just to have Beza, per DM approval, pull out random trophies from kills and be like, "Can I use this?"
Madcap takes it.
Talk him down.
What is it? Like, what kind of thing is it?
I mean, she's got so many random tusks and claws and stuff. Probably, I think maybe she pulls out a like a skin, and it's not even very big. It's like maybe rabbit or small possum sized.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
But it's got really vibrant colors to it.
Neat. Okay.
Like maybe it's like red and white
Like a
and
psychedelic lemur.
spotted. Yeah, almost like a sure, like a psychedelic lemur.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've got this. I mean,
that is very loud.
Yeah. The creature's not though. They're really hard to find. Actually, they're so tiny. It's a what's the word again? As Heather tries to think of a name for this random.
That's fine. As Beza's trying to like conjure the name, you've got a couple of things laid out on the bar and a few of these pelts and maybe some claws and some horns. And he starts looking at the horns and he's like, oh, these are very nice. I like these a lot. These would make really good taps. And he starts looking at these horns like, oh, this would just bring the style and class and sophistication of our bar just up a little notch. Oh no, I very much like these. These are good.
All right, yeah, that's a rhino cat horn.
Oh my, a rhino and a cat.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they were called. It looked more like a cat than a rhino, but it had a horn in the middle of its head, so it got called a rhino cat. That's what that is.
Presumably on its nose.
Yeah.
Yes. He also understands prefixes, but still doesn't know the word colloquialism. So it's okay. It's just the one blind spot he has. I'm really proud of randomly sneaking in a cloaca joke in the middle of this game. Anyway, so he will take he'll take a bunch of the horns. He really digs this idea of using them as like the tap pulls for some of the some of the beers that he has.
So how many are we talking though? Because, I mean, I happen to have a few of these because I've hunted these creatures, but they're not exactly local.
Oh, okay. So they're like exotic.
You could say they're out of this world.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like a thing you're trying?
No, that's literally what they are.
It's like literal. They're from another plane.
Oh my. Okay. How about 2?
All right.
Put it on the sticky mud and the sticky mud black.
All right.
You're confused, Oliet, because it looked like the sticky mud was already black.
So long as I got my premium in my little growler, I'm good.
You quake in fear at the
Of what
prospect
black
of what
might be?
sticky mud black is.
Put hair on your chest.
Oh,
Wrong character.
it'll,
Sorry.
No, it'll burn the hair off your chest. Let me tell you.
Oh, actually, does it burn hair off of everywhere? Because like that could save me a lot of money.
different industry use. Anyway, so he'll take 2 of the horns, and basically your whole tab will be covered.
Deal.
Includes the growler.
God, because I was broke.
She puts everything else back in her bag.
Amazing.
These clutch.
And he starts like looking at these, and he's like, "Hey, Ma, take a look." And Ma Madcap comes out as very grizzled 9-year-old goblin. She looks every bit the spitting image of her son, and except much older, and she like looks over and she's like, "Oh, that's very nice. Yes, it's very good. I'll get my tools." And she like goes to the back to like she built this place.
I just realized what his voice reminds me of when you said, "Hey Ma, hey Ma, the cat is back." The smush face cat. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, okay.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll find it for you later. Not a big deal.
Okay. So you all leave, and Katora, or Kat, says to you, "Well, you know, if you're strapped for cash, you can always take a job or 2. People are looking for people to, like, I don't know how good you are in a scrap, but they're always looking for people to, like, deal with the occasional sort of like silver sharks and all sorts of stuff going on in the caves."
Where do you
I'm better in a group.
Oh, yeah. I
In
mean,
that.
like, sure, like the whole bunch of you, but I just mean that's an easy way to make cash around here.
Good to know.
Yeah.
People don't really like hiring the official authorities for doing stuff. They hear something weird's happening and they just all descend like a bunch of carrion flies. You know, it's hard to keep. It's hard to shake them off once they show up too.
Yeah.
Case in point.
I don't know.
And
We've done it a couple times.
Good. I was gonna say, leaving that acclimation center. So Katora, Kat walks you around only a couple blocks, and she turns a corner, and you see a mural on a wall.
Oh my god.
It looks like the poster for Les Mis, except it's Paru.
Oh
And instead of a flag, she's holding a very large, what looks like a masher for making beer, but it's something you use in your mushroom farming.
Oh my god.
And on the ground, there's a bunch of these like little mud candles melted on the ground.
Oh my god.
You're a martyr.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
and Kat is cackling behind you, like, dude, you have no idea. Like, their faces, when 1, they find out you're totally fucking fine, and 2, when you come back and you're just like, "Hello, boys," and they're just like, "Oh, they're gonna fucking lose their mind. I just can't. I
Oh my
can't."
god.
And she's just sippy cupping out of her the rest of her drink. And,
What the hell do my parents think? I mean, they were the ones who sent me there in the first place.
oh, they did not. They okay, so nothing happened to them, but they did get a little like publicly shamed.
Alright. That's shitty. I shouldn't alright that, but
No, that seems legit.
I mean, it
I
sounds
mean-
like karma.
To be fair, yeah, I agree.
Oh,
And I had the same thing happen to me. Although, to be fair, only one of them did it, but still.
Yeah, we're gonna have words with that one.
Yeah, I mean, technically you do every time I speak since I'm stuck with a voice.
Did she hear us?
Oh,
That does remind me, though. I am going to take my book out of my bag.
Sure.
And Paro is the Queen of the Vines, correct? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes. Her Majesty
just
Divine is
Quickly in the back, Actually, question. When I write things in the back of the book, do they stay there or do they disappear?
You see them. You get
Okay.
new pages. You run out of a page, you'll like every time you turn the page, there's another page.
She thinks of everything. I am going to, on whatever the next line is, write, be sure to let Her Majesty of the Vine know that her champion has always been a hero. And I'll just close the book and put it in my bag. I don't say anything. It's not my fucking style.
You're too cool for that. Too cool.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you that I did that.
Dead.
And
But
you have
and
killed me.
somewhere in the book, Her Majesty of the Vine's just like that's my girl. No, it's fine. And so you close the book, and Kat is still just like losing her fucking mind. She's bright green plus red doesn't make a color.
brown.
Trying to come brown. She's blonde. She's whatever the green equivalent of red in the face is. She just I can't. I can't. Your face.
They really
so
did a
good.
good job on the nose, I gotta say.
No, like the
You know,
whole
it's
thing
true.
is like really well. I've been a fan since I saw it.
I don't have
There are also
words.
like little mushrooms like marching with her and other goblins and stuff.
Paru's gonna walk up, put
Uh-huh.
her hand on the mural,
Mhm.
and druidcraft some actual mushrooms coming out of the mural.
Yes, like the ones that are sort of like they
Mhm.
sort of come out of walls. They're kind of
Yeah.
curved up.
And
Yeah,
have
yeah,
little
yeah, so you
light
go-
spores coming down. Yeah.
No,
She
yeah.
basically
Okay,
lit
so
it.
so on the bottom like fucking stage lights.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
like- And then these little motes of spores kind of just glittering around. And Kat's like, well, fucking A, that really kicks it up a notch.
And
Oh, very nice.
If this
very
was supposed to damp out the spark of rebellion in me, not working.
to add a very small addition, if that would be all right, I will need someone's help
What
doing this. I need you to spell your name using my hand.
P-A-R-U. All right.
No, as in like
No,
I'm gonna.
I'll-
Okay,
Here,
follow me.
I'll help, big guy.
Thank
Hold
you.
on.
You're-
And Kat walks next to you. Harlan is like, okay. Well, what are you gonna draw?
So
with?
here's and so what he does is he puts his finger, like his index finger, against the wall, and
Okay.
he's like, now just need to trace her name. That's all we need to do is just trace her name.
Okay. All right. So she like holds your wrist and your hand, and she's drawing the name Paru.
And
You want it like all caps, or what do you want?
uh, dealer's choice.
Okay. Big, bold,
And-
bold. And she's basically using you as a graffiti spray can. She's tracing the name Paru
and
with your hand.
he's going to be using mold earth to
Okay.
like embed basically like emboss the name in the wall.
Nice.
Oh, neat. So you watch as it's like as the stone kind of like pushes back a little bit to create this sort of embossing effect. Is it happening as you're writing it, or is it
I mean,
just for
rule of
flavor?
cool, sure.
So
It's a
like the
cantrip,
first,
so he can
so
just keep
like
doing
the
it.
the first time it happens, Kat's like, "Holy shit!" Ah! And she gets really excited, and she just keeps drawing. She's like, "I feel like this is just like the classiest vandalism I've ever been a part of." And she's just She keeps tracing. Harlan, roll a D100 for me.
Oh no. Oh no.
I feel like right now, Kat is like, these people are weird, but they're fun, so I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
You seem to have that effect on people.
Yeah, fair.
Uh-oh. Haru's like, oh, do I even
Harlan.
go home now? Yeah, she's gonna, but like, at the same time,
What-
like,
What'd you roll, Harlan?
99.
Okay.
That can't be good.
Oh.
No, there is no value to this.
Mm-hmm.
Roll me 2d6.
Uh-oh.
No, it's funny. It'll be funny.
You want combined total?
Yeah, combined total.
10.
10. What is that? Okay,
This-
so
Haru, now it's got your signature and
I love it.
and Kat finishes the like the U. She's like sniffing the air, and she looks at you, Harlan, and then she kind of. I didn't think you drank that much. And Harlan, you smell like the beef stew booze. And you will for the next 10 minutes.
are you hungry? Because I sure.
It's like beef stew and shitty vodka that actually has a scent to it.
I don't like it.
That's a flavor
Yep.
of Smirnoff. I don't want to
don't
go
like
near.
Oh god. Oh god.
No.
And Kat's like, And she looks at a whole night, you said?
I can't. I mean, am I close enough to know what she's referring to, or do I just think she's
It is pretty pungent.
pungent?
It is like if you're all within, like if you're within 5 to 10 feet of him, you can smell it.
Oh.
And it just suddenly started happening.
It like just wafted over out of nowhere.
That just means he's excited. You'll get used to it.
And to be fair,
He's
I feel
like a bear. He's a beer cat instead of a
Oh,
bear
God.
cat.
I mean-
They smell like popcorn.
at this point we've had around Harland.
It's one of the more
Yeah,
harmless things that's happened.
Honestly.
I mean, sometimes when he uses his magic, something random happens.
Oh, Jesus, I pull out my mirror and check my face again just in case.
You're fine. No wrinkles.
Yeah.
Apparently
you
this
can't help it.
Time beef stew.
That's honestly
In my
probably not even-
experience, usually when you do your magic, you want something very specific to happen.
Our
But,
internships were a little different than most. Alright, well,
Oh yeah, got it. That one was
Our-
on purpose. So
Haru
anyway,
hasn't had that express education.
yeah. So, y'all spend some the rebellion mural. And yeah, anyone else do anything or?
We should.
I do want to,
Oh, what?
but on our way,
Yeah, sure.
I just want to swing through the market and see if anybody is selling that instrument, that harmonious, like split instrument. If they're selling them, I don't know if.
There are a few people who sell that sort of thing. I
It's an
am just
ocarina.
too
Ocarina. Love it.
so mad. That's not actually what it is, but like check this thing out. It's really cool. It's an actual instrument. It's called a tsur. Tsuur.
Oh.
It's a Mongolian instrument. I love the fact that so if nobody here, this is Angela's Nerd Corner. If you haven't heard Mongolian throat singing, it is a style of vibrate your throat such that your vocal cords actually create two different tones. You're singing a low note, but your vocal cords are vibrating an overtone. So you're making two notes at the same time. It's very, very cool. There'll be this, like, you're turning yourself into like a bagpipe. You're doing a droning sound, and that's doing stuff. It's very cool. And it is super interesting to me that Mongolian musicians probably learned how to do that with their voice first and then created an instrument that did the same thing. I love that. Anyway, I thought it was super interesting. So yeah, you see, no, absolutely. Who's a good one? There are a few that I've actually seen a couple of them. They tour with a guy named Bela Fleck, who's a banjo player, and he gets international. He has like international musicians that travel with him, and I got to see him. It was a Christmas show, and it was him and the Mongolian fucking jingle bells with throat singing, and it was really fucking funny. They were really good.
Wow.
Anyway, so please check out Mongolian throat singing and the tour. End of. I need to make some sort of like icon that shows up. That's Angela's nerdy ass corner. Well, Angela's nerdy corner, because that could
Like
be
the like
nerdy ass
the
corner.
star, just
Yeah. You didn't know.
we're not gonna no trademark infringement.
Angela knows way too much about this.
Ta-da.
Anyway,
But yes, I want one.
So yeah, you go check the marketplace and you find a for a second it's a little bizarre when you encounter this merchant. He kind of they kind of look like a big monkey. Like a snowy monkey, but like jacked. Big shaggy face, like furry white arms, but like body is all dark fur, and they're wearing this like gigantic leather belt that basically Paru could wear as like a skin, like a tube top dress. Like it's that, like it's huge.
Oh, okay.
And he's got these glowing blue eyes. He looks like a fucking yeti, basically.
I love this.
And you watch him as he's kind of pushing a wheel with a pedal, and he's using it as a way to carve wood. It's like a blade that it's like power whittling. It's super awesome. And you get to this thing and you see all of these wooden instruments, including a bunch of these flutes. And he kind of glances up from the like this, basically a big stick. It's like a giant stick of wood that he's whittling, and he glances up and he's still pedaling, and he hits a brake and it stops, and he just sort of like lifts from the chair, and he's like maybe half a foot taller than you, and he kind of looks down and he shakes his head like,
hi, I want one of the it's the
just point out one.
yeah, I want, if he has anything like this available. I really want one that is one of the shorter ones. I'm hoping that, I don't know shit about instruments, so if you do, please don't at me, okay? I don't know. But in my ignorant mind, I'm hoping that one of the shorter ones makes a slightly higher pitch than the other ones that I heard. And yeah, if so, maybe two different kinds of wood, or like some kind of pattern or marbling or something that makes it flute so that it looks pretty.
Sure. So he kind of looks at the row you're pointing at, and he glances at you a little bit, and then he kind of moves over. He moves over to the shelf and pulls one off the shelf. So tiny. He's very big. And
Okay, I'm thinking like a recorder, like just a little guy.
Yeah, you can definitely get them that size. He grabs one in a kind of it's like a dark ebony wood, and he puts it to his mouth and like starts playing it, and he's really very good. You hear this low drone start, and he's just there's only 3 holes on it, and they're spread out far enough that he literally only needs to use and across it. It's very and so he's just kind of like playing this little lilting melody on it with the higher tone on it. It's very pretty. It's like shockingly pretty for what a big beefy dude he is. And he
yes
and he pulls another like sort of semi-identical one, but he kind of points at them. Like there's a light wood one, there's like a reddish wood one, an ebony wood, and he kind of like points at each one, looks at you questioningly.
Oh, that one.
Still sort of angry faced, but like kind of.
No, I'm like unnerved right now. But yes,
it's just how his face looks.
I know, but you're doing it too well, Angela. It's freaking me out. What? I want the one he's holding. Okay. Yes, please.
He kind of looks at it for a second and.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Great.
And he gently hands it to you, and he's basically offering if you want to like try it before you buy it. It's an instrument. He'd want you to be like
Sure.
So it's got this like split reed down the center thing, and all you get the sense that you almost have to play it a little bit like the harmonica. Like you have to kind of use your tongue to split the difference on it.
Okay,
yeah. But there's like a reading on the inside of it, okay. and you it doesn't sound great, but like not the worst thing in the world, because you literally have just touched this thing for the first time. He gets a little like,
I'm sorry,
but he nods. He's just like,
okay.
And he kind of like hauls himself over to a like a chest, and he opens the chest up and pulls out. He like looks through. It seems like he's going through a bunch of like leather goods, and he finds like a little like strap and case for it, like a little loose leather case for it.
Yes.
Size. And he hands that to you. It's also in that dark. That it's like a dark leather, kind of matches.
Perfection.
And he just offers his hand out and just kind of waits.
I don't. I have in my pocket. And I will produce 10 gold.
Okay.
And I don't have anything else that's worth anything. Actually, and I have a small penknife, and I'll just hold it out and shrug.
Okay. Do you like pull out your bag and like you can tell that's all you have?
I literally will like empty it into my hands in front of him, so he sees that like I will offer you everything for this instrument. Okay.
And he watches you with this sort of slightly angry, impressive gaze, and he holds his hand out, and you put them. You're like, please don't eat me. Like here, Mr. Yeti, sir, please don't. And he takes the items, and he kind of looks. He counts out the gold, and he looks at you, and he takes a gold and he gives it back to you.
Okay.
And he pockets the gold and kind of inspects the knife. Just nods.
Okay. You don't by chance want to start a band or anything, do you? Like, are you happy with this line of work, or do you want to, like, you could see the world?
And he sort of watches you a little he reaches out. He's got almost like a bugbear's length with his arms, and he reaches back for the big stick that he's working on, and he just kind of shows you.
You're very good at it. So, like,
And he does this. He sort of like wash it, like wipes off his hands, and then
as obnoxiously as possible with my tutu, and
you hear just the tiniest little. Yeah. So big, intimidating Yeti man has sold you a sword.
Hooray!
This is my new favorite NPC.
Honestly, besides Villain, same.
Angry NPC music monkey.
Oh, he doesn't even have a name. I'll just call him Music Yeti.
Music Yeti. I don't have a name for him. I did put a picture in our private chat, but yeah, big angry monkey man.
Oh my god.
So anyway, so you have this cool instrument that he's made, and yeah, so TSUUR, you can put it on your inventory, and so as you continue walking, Kat is showing you. She is sort of following with you. She's standing on one side of you, Harlan, but she's talking to everybody as she basically is giving you a rundown of, what to be wary of when you head out towards the farms. Like, listen, they, Paru, like there's people around that have, the touch of things, but they don't like people messing around with stuff.
Yeah.
Being all kind of kooky. It's a little harder to to tamp that down here in town, but out in the farms, they're sort of patrolling now as they're working on getting processes down. When I say processes, I mean like they're basically working the farms for people at this point. Like, if you can't do it, we do it for you, kind of shit, So just kind of. I know it's probably outside your impulse, but, try to stay on the straight and narrow while you're there.
No, it is my goal to try and do that. I'm not gonna try any mushroom liberation right now.
Right now. But, once you leave, fuck the straight and narrow. There is nothing worth doing in this world that is narrow.
Yeah. Question.
You're welcome.
If I use magic to light the way as we're walking, is that gonna paint a big old target on our faces?
You talking like just a torch sort of thing, or are you talking like, ooh, kooky lights show?
Yeah, I guess if I do it my way, it'll be kooky light show because it would be mushroom spores. So yeah, let's get a torch.
Yeah, I've seen people get a talking to for less. So
torch is smarter. All right. God, I hate not being able to see in the dark. It's really inconvenient.
You can't see in the dark. What, you need like glasses or something?
No, I don't have dark vision. I can't see.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it was always a weird kid, but yeah.
Yeah.
The most useless goblin. But
that is just blatantly, yeah.
Well,
like,
I think that you're the most useful Paru.
Thank you, Oliette.
That
I agree.
You guys are sweet.
Don't tell anybody, jeez.
Oh no, man!
I've been
Don't tell anybody I'm nice. I'll like knock your teeth out.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna just like, you guys. You think you're good to go, or?
Yeah, I think we'll go. I don't know that we're gonna stay there. We might. Is there a place in town we should think about staying?
You should come stay at my place. That would be
sure?
awesome. Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got like a training ground, all sorts of stuff. I mean, sponsorships are pretty primo.
Nice.
So
Sure.
how do we find you?
Oh yeah. Not gonna say that. I have a joke and it skirts the rating.
I
You
am
don't
gonna
have a
nudge
rating, but it still
Baines in
skirts
a
it.
car and be like, okay, this is Arcuda. Let's fuck off right now. Like, back up. Let's.
Yeah.
No. Oh yeah, you got paper, right?
Yes, technically. Who's asking?
Cat is asking. Sorry. No, I need. I'll just write down how to get there. Oh, fuck it. Anyway, you go down this way towards the edge of the cave, right? Like the curve up. And I'm 1, 2, 3 blocks from here that way. You will find that there is a lot of decoration on the front of my place. Not my doing. You know,
Sponsors.
you make friends, you make not friends, but like people like leaving notes on my door.
Got
It's
it.
fine.
Oh.
You'll know when you see it. It's fine.
Cool.
Got
A
it.
fan club thing.
Some of them, sure.
Yeah, I'm sure some maybe not so fan club as well, because being a badass sometimes comes with.
They'd like to fan the flames after they set me on fire. Sure.
Yeah.
If you want to call flames. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that.
Yeah, it's competition doesn't
Yeah.
bring out the best in people.
Harlan, your fans just kind of threw themselves at you. People.
That happens to me too, but like
Yeah.
different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll see you in maybe about an hour.
Oh shit, yeah, sure. I thought you guys were gonna be on for like a day.
I don't think I'm gonna stay at my parents' house, especially if they're the powers that be are wandering. Probably not a smart idea.
Fair. All right. Well, yeah. You guys just hit me up.
All right.
I'll see you around.
See you in a bit.
Thank you.
Yeah. She will basically go to like do this to all of you, like not a handshake, but like a all right. See you later. It's almost like a poof kind of thing.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
See you around, big guy. And Harlan, you're the last one she says bye to, and she kind of like pats your hand, like, and with her broadsword leaning over one shoulder, she saunters into the streets. And if you continue watching, at one point, some skinny half orc is just like, Katora Young Taker, I have a bow to pick with you. She's just like, puts the sword down. Come on. You guys like, right now? Yeah, fucker, come on. This isn't the last you've seen of me. Just kind of like backs up. Like, pick up the sword and keep walking.
I like her.
Yeah, she's good. She's good. All right, let's drop this.
Thank
off
you,
of my parents.
Doppelganger, for the for the donation or for the tip.
You're very welcome.
She will be back.
Gone now. Harlan, she's gone.
Yeah, I watched her go.
I bet you do.
You hate to see her leave, but you.
So,
all right.
How do you think I did?
I think you did good.
Yeah, I think you
I
did all
think
right.
that went as well as it could have gone. Honestly, yeah.
It's like my first time, going in absolutely unprepared with anything. Flying solo like that.
You mean without them throwing themselves at you?
Yeah, I mean, usually I have to beat them away with a stick.
Well, I bet if you ask nicely, she might beat you with a stick.
We don't touch him in this party.
I didn't say it was a bad thing. Right, torches.
He just looks confused. Actually, I'm confused too, but that's all right.
I'll explain it. I can.
How hard?
We'll tell you when you're older.
As hard as you like. Or not at all, if that is your
That's why we have safety words. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's why we have safe words.
How is it that Paru
Anyway.
knows about safety words, but not about anything else?
Pick a word that you can spell, Arlen.
Alright.
Anyway.
Paru pulls a torch from her bag and begins to start walking in that direction.
Just follow.
My brain perhaps safe word is colloquialism. He'll never use it in a sentence in normal conversation.
I heard the wildest thing today, babe.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, so I really wonder over the course of this campaign how many times we're gonna make safe word jokes. I feel like it will be more than one.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Anyway, so you we'll just say you gather some semblance of torches. You either pick something up or you already have equipment. So I actually imagine
grab
you
a
have some.
torch.
So I need to find a different segue word because I say so all the time.
That's all right.
And when you get your torches out and somebody probably has the ability to light them, if not just mundanely light them, you start heading not down, but out into the farms. The farms are dark. It is basically like walking around at nighttime, except there are no stars.
I hate not being able to see out here. It was always the worst as a kid because you get so, Paru, go outside and play. Well, I can't see 3 feet in front of my face. If I go outside and face, I'm gonna bang into the goddamn fence.
And if you light a torch, people are like, that's too bright.
I can do it with you guys because you're overworlders, and then nobody questions why I can't see in the dark.
It is kind of strange, though.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
No. There's lots of things that goblins can do that I can't. Like, I've seen goblins like get into a tussle and be able to like just kind of go whoosh real fast. No,
You've never had that impulse to bite people?
Never had the impulse to bite. I've never bitten anybody. Like my teeth are even different. Look, like some of the goblins might have we all have like sharp teeth. I don't have though. Like there's no.
They make fun of how nice your teeth are.
Yeah, there's no sharpie bits. It's
I
frustrating.
mean, you've got a couple that are a little bit sharper than the others,
That's true.
but you seem very straight compared to some of the other goblins.
Yeah.
The Gaba Yaga is for good orthodontia.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's like sometimes if you get into a fight with something bigger, like it tends to like hit harder, and I don't know. I've never had that. There's lots of stuff. How to explain fury of the small that I don't have?
That's what the biting was for me.
There we go.
That's what the fear of the just for an extra.
Yeah.
So you start walking down this dirt, rock, mud sort of path. It's interesting. As you go down the path, it starts declining, sort of deeper down under the mountain, and start watching as this path turns into a little bit more like a trench as you're starting to go a little deeper down, and eventually it levels out again, and you're in almost like a huge gap between two rock shelves. You just see the ceiling a little bit, just a little, very dimly lit, almost like there's something maybe a little bioluminescent, just a tiny bit. And you see sort of like the shiny facets of the rock on the ceiling straight for, God, it's probably like you can't see it after a while. It's just dark into shadow. It could go about like miles. There's acres down here of just flat surface here between what has to be the bottom of the mountain and the rock, like the bedrock underneath you. And but there's a lot of dirt and mud. Those of you who have dark vision, at least out to a certain amount, you see that there are like hillsides, and there's a couple of like little herds of creatures. Dim light in here. You don't have much trouble seeing things close to you, but Paro, everything is just sort of a very dark shadow. Detail, you can't see color, but none of you can see color when it's dark. And you immediately were recognizing the path here home. It's
at least by feel.
Road. Yeah. And you catch like the occasional low light lamps that are on fence posts and things. The fence is here again, made of like clay and like roots almost. Maybe slightly braided root system, so things are a little like kind of haphazard looking because everything's kind of twisted and it's almost ominous if you didn't realize, like, no, this is what they have. They have dried out tree roots and things that they can use. The underside of trees is what they utilize for a lot of things like this. But a lot of it's very reinforced with this clay mud that's been heated or just air dried. Honestly, it's probably like cold dry clay or air dry clay. And you occasionally see like very loose dirt, and you see in almost like a little pen, and you see like little creatures kind of like snuffling into the dirt, and they kind of look like a mix between a pig and a mole, and they just sort of like are just sort of digging into the dirt. They look like some sort of herd animal that is being farmed. There is a lot of, I'm going to say, just for the sake of flavor, there's a lot of pig vibe with some of the animals because of truffles and such. And then you start seeing little like mushroom farms. You see different styles and it's not like evenly spaced like a crop might be. It's sort of organically grown, so it's like occasionally you see like a big bunch of them kind of growing up, and then there's a few sparse, and then there's like almost like a little these mushrooms, and then another big pile of them growing up. And there's all sorts. You see that very stereotypical like fantasy red cap with white spots on it. You see things like the chanterelles. So you see these long, I know, why is it more about mushrooms than like anything else I have ever learned in my life? You see these like sort of almost rock looking ones. There's whole sidings of houses covered in lichen. So this almost like mossy, lacy material sort of draped on the sides. Looks like you see a couple of the goblin farmers. Some of them are like basically cutting them with shears, like cutting off like head height of this light siding of the house, and then sort of like folding it, rolling it up into packs and moving on. It seems that you are sort of in the midst of a harvest. It's hard to tell if there's like a season for it, if it's just like when it grows and it finishes growing, we collect it. Mm-hmm. But as you get a little deeper into more like big farms, like an entire plot is multiple acres. You see like out and it just gets dark. You just see the little tiny torches. You start seeing other little lights. And before I say that, let me confirm something really quick about monodrones. Do they have dark vision? No, they don't. You see other lights. You see little, like almost hooded lantern style, where there's just this little cone of light looking out, and you occasionally see these big, round, glowing orbs in the distance. And you realize that eyes, and you see little round modrons, and you see the duodrons, the little ones that look like boxes stacked on top of each other. they're like, there's like a cart that is sort of autonomously moving as these things are picking up pretty much every mushroom in the row and dumping it into this wagon. One of them even looks like it's more of a vacuum or a like a bulldozer sort of thing, where it's just there's an angle the mushrooms at the ground level. And hello Raiders, High Perception Studio. And so you watch as this goblin farm that is currently being harvested by a small, like a small brigade of these monitor trucks. It's very different than the few farms that you saw at the beginning that were sort of being harvested by hand. In general, it seems definitely more efficient, but in the wake of this large, probably one person could ride it if it was a tractor. It's sort of a sitting tractor style thing. In the wake of this collection bulldozer thing, there's just torn earth and then just like the little stems of the mushrooms sticking into the ground.
Paro tries not to wince. She tries really hard to keep a straight face. She's like, nope, not the time.
Hey, we talked about wagons tonight too.
Juliet, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You said we were gone for like 7 or 8 years, right?
Again, it's like iffy. I don't know exactly, but I know it's hard to remember, but I think I was like 11 or 12 when we fell in.
So I was 3.
And now I'm like a banging babe, so like
now I'm like a snack. It's so weird.
Yeah. It's hard to tell, but yeah, I mean.
So, well, my thought is that would make me around 11, which means
Okay.
I would be closer to like Mom Madcap's age. So why don't I look like that?
Can I, in all of my time perusing different tales, can I give Paru a closer... How do I say this in my own... Like, how do I give her a very respectful and platonic once-over to see if I can pick up anything about her that I would notice is not what I understand about goblin stories and lore?
You could be like, do a little turn.
Let me do the, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and give me a check.
Okay.
It's probably easiest to do that.
What is my bonus? Oh, it's weak. Okay. Okay, 14.
14. Well, I mean, Paru's already pointed out a lot of the things that were different. She mentioned the fact that her she can't see in the dark. That's a big one. That's a big hindrance, honestly, to the way that her people live, at least this community of goblins. And her teeth, the idea that her teeth are much more human looking than goblin. Goblins tend, at least some of them, tend to be a little bit more carnivorous, looking a little bit more like that was a very good descriptor, I'm sure.
A scientific term for it.
I don't know how to spell it.
More like chomp, chomp.
Yeah, more chomp chomp. And what else? You have there is just something a little different. I mean, you're now surrounded by goblins, and there's just like a different energy to her. You get the sense of like, I mean, that could be grown up in the Book of Faebles, but it could also just be, I mean, she always kind of, this doesn't feel like it's never not felt like Paru.
Sure.
So you don't have anything like really concrete other than some of the little physicalities, but
The fact that she talks about having someone talking in her head sometimes.
I mean, but Oliette understands. If anyone understands that, it's Oliette understands the idea of some voice talking in your head.
You don't have to worry about that, bitch. I got you.
It's like moms, right? Matriarchs, right?
Oh, figures.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if I have a good answer for you, but I honestly, all I can think is that maybe we should, after we're done here, I don't think it's a bad idea to see if we can track down the person that's talking to you.
Okay.
It helped me a lot when I tracked down mine, so
Yeah.
maybe that might help you make some sense of things.
Sure. That actually sounds like a good plan. We're almost there. We're literally just one more house up here. So we just got back normal for a little longer. But though, I have to say, the idea that we took an internship may not be a bad way to... An interplanar internship was offered to us. It is an idea of expanding our horizons to be helpful citizens. That's not a terrible way to explain our absence.
So how are we spinning this? Are we your family relation to them? Are we leaning into that? Are we?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're leaning into that. It makes sense to me. We're offered an opportunity for growth and understanding.
It would make sense. You could say that it was like a what's the word? Intensive training program.
Yeah. And that's how they do it, is they fit it into such intense training into such a short amount of time. I like it. Okay.
A return to productivity.
Yes. That also might work for your uncle, Oliette, too.
Maybe. I don't know.
Just a thought. Anyway, it won't be like Harlan's family. I'm not expecting to stay here. I think staying at Kat's is a much better plan. But let's see how it goes.
She's got a kickin' penthouse. No, I don't know. I just love this idea now that she's basically like a pro wrestler.
Yes.
Anyway, you start passing by the monodrones. You're getting pretty, like you said, you're pretty much like one farm over from your family's plot, and the air is just filled with this clicking and grinding and motorized noises from the modrons and the duodrons. It's just noisy. It's like you're just stuck next to a tractor. And it just feels wrong, Paru, in like multiple levels. This idea of just it doesn't belong here. I mean, goblins are nothing if not like interested in maximizing their yield, trying to tinker with stuff. They're not like Luddites.
Yeah. But this
no
is...
offense, Harlan. But yeah, the idea of it just feels like not real, like it's not there. These people these creatures coming in, just going, nope, we need it all now. There's not really any consideration to the land or to like, even though you're upset by the idea of harvesting, you at least have a little bit of appreciation for the fact that most of the time it's done with the intent of having the mushrooms grow back in a decent way, and this is just like they're tearing it up. It's not really that respectful to the growth of the plant life. Yeah, Olia.
Before we get too much closer to the farm, I would like to disguise self and turn into Cat.
Okay. Do you do that in front of them?
No, I'll wait till like the
You wait till
spotlight
you're
is
gone.
yeah, I'm gonna time it pretty strategically to where like
Wait till they're
I'll
gone and you're
shift
sort of
over to the
back.
side of Harland, and then as I kind of shift back into everyone's view, I'll be Cat.
A little bit taller.
I thought that you were going home. We saw you leave. I watched you leave for a while. What are you doing here?
Oh man.
I love it so much.
I couldn't let y'all walk in the dark, you know.
Oh my god.
Well, that's mighty kind of you.
Yeah, just keep y'all company.
I'm not even gonna make you roll deception. This is just too good.
Y'all, did you
Harland,
see who it
Oliet
is?
is gone. Yeah.
Harlan, voice down. We don't want to alert the Modrons.
I'm just excited to see someone that I just made an acquaintance with. I don't think that they would find that very odd at all.
That's very true. Sorry, I'm nervous.
But I will calm down, as it were. I will play it cool.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Look at her. I do not fancy you. That's how she
Stealing
tried
my
to get.
thunder.
Sorry. I should know better. You put her down. I get you. A question, Paru.
Mhm.
Was your first insight and connection to the Baba Yaga here?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just okay. This will probably happen next session, not this session. That we will address that. Let me see. Who would it be funniest for? Harland. You hear off to the side, on top of a shed, in the like sort of in the sort of near distance. You hear the sound of creaking, like something being pulled taut and then being released with a little snap. And you feel a thunk on the back of your neck, and it's goopy and cold. And you peel it off, and it's a slug. And you hear
Y'all, I think someone's trying to play a trick on us.
Would I have any idea who that might be?
You are distinctly aware of a certain brother of yours who likes to tinker with different ways of hurling slugs at people.
All right, which brother is this?
This is we'll say this is a younger brother. Moment, I really should have planned ahead.
Sorry.
No, totally fine. This is Chim. Chim.
When we are at home,
And he's a jerk.
Do we speak Goblin when we're at home, or do we speak Common when we're at home?
I would say you probably speak Goblin most of the time.
Okay. So, Paro turns in the direction, and just in Goblin, in the sternest voice she can muster, Chin Masruma, you get your little behind down here right this instant, or else you will see the back end of my boot.
You see little eyes, like, blinking in the dark, like almost like a dog, like that.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of a, you're not my mom!
No, I'm not, but I do know her.
You hear,
Try it, and face the consequences, or I will tell Mom.
roll me an intimidation check.
Oh, I'm actually kind of decent at that. Hang on.
I've noticed. Tessa's mom voice came out. Well, that seems correct.
Yeah, if my son bursts in here like, what did I do? It's because the mom voice came out.
You hear...
That's what I thought.
And then you hear... And you don't... None of you feel the slug hit. But a moment passes, just a second, and you hear the distinct sound of, well, it's not distinct in that you know what it sounds like, but it's very easy to tell what a slug hitting metal sounds like.
Oh.
And boonk, and one of the duodrones in the lot over just kind of like turns. You hear and you see these little spotlights turn. Like goes back to work. And then you hear like something climbing down a ladder, or actually no, scrambling down the metal of the shack, just like scratching a little nail on chalkboard sometimes, and
Jim.
hopping down. You
Careful. You want to get sent to the reclamation center?
You don't get to tell me what to do. I don't even know you. And then he kind of looks.
Hi.
What the
Language. It's okay, I won't tell Mom this time.
Pearl?
Yeah.
What did they do to you?
Thought it was a reacclimation center, not a realtitude center.
I'm not that
was
much
a-
taller.
Intensive internship that took us away for a bit, but we have grown stronger and in experience and maturity. That was the story we were going with, right?
Paru,
Great
you-
into that last sentence.
Paru, you watch your brother, Chim, look straight up at Harland with just dead silence. Like,
He's real good at shoulder rides. Like, real good for shoulder rides.
Howdy, youngin'.
oh.
That's Harland. He's a friend. It's all good. This is my brother,
Oh.
Jim.
He's been talking Goblin this whole time.
Mm-hmm. I switched into common during that part.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shit. Hello.
It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Did you hit me
Talk
with the
funny.
slug?
The slingshot that seems to be made out of some sort of animal jaw gets put behind his back. No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right then.
Is Mom and Dad home? Or are they out?
Dad's arguing with one of the lantern heads.
Why is he arguing
And
with the lantern
Mom. Oh, they weren't doing it right.
head? Huh.
You know how he is.
Yeah.
And Mom, I don't know. I've been avoiding Mom.
Alright.
He reaches into his pocket and pushes down the slug that's trying to crawl out of his pocket.
No slugs in the house. This is Oliette, and this is Beza. They are also friends.
Oh,
Hi.
hi.
And he's just staring at you, Oliette.
I don't look yet.
Oh, cat, yeah.
Oh shit, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, you would have...
Haru and Beza would have seen. Like, I didn't hide it from
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to
And-
show
and
up.
Haru would have... Yeah, you'd know how to introduce her.
Yeah, this is Kat and Beza. They're also friends.
Oh, wow. You're, she's,
Uh-huh.
you're famous.
That's right.
Oh, he bites his finger again, trying not to get in trouble.
She's real good at arm wrestling.
Oh, no, I don't. I've never been in the tavern.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm gonna go introduce these folks to Mom real quick, and I mean we're not gonna be staying long. We got a job to do, but I just wanted to let them know that I'm back from my internship and I'm a-okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you want me to come with you or something, or can I go back to?
Sure, if you want.
Shoves the slugs back in his pocket.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, just no funny business, please. The slugs, at least. I mean, just...
You got enough funny business for both of us, I think.
Probably. All right, come on, bud.
He's got like a bunch of little jack teeth.
Yeah. The smile on Paru is starkly different.
Yeah. I imagine this kid having slight energy of Greg in Over the Garden Wall.
Oh.
Come on! Is it George? Or yeah, come on, George, you're a manly frog. I get that vibe from him. But like slightly more of a monster.
BB.
So your little brother follows you to down the street. He is constantly looking up at you, Oliette. Or should I say Katori. It just constantly like straightens his overall.
I will lean over to Par, like, I may have made a mistake here. We have about 48 minutes.
Well, it's alright. Hopefully we won't be there too long. Alright, let's just, if anything happens, excuse yourself to the restroom. Take a deep breath, recast, and go in.
True.
Smart.
As I may have played this game a time or two with this particular spell.
Just a few.
So,
I, a forever cleric, am way out of my depths right now.
oh god, limited spells? What are those?
I know, I was like, what?
So, as you continue wandering down the road with the young Sir Chim next to you, Paru, you are distinctly recognizing everything down the road. You are getting closer to your childhood home, and you view of Chim, the rest of you. I realized I hadn't described him. He's got a slightly wider, looks a little more traditional goblin. He has a he's got his pants are mostly pocket. They're very deep. They kind of go down to his irregular pants, but like the bottom of the pant leg is like right where the pocket ends. And he bald with like just a little bit of like sort of wiry hair coming out of his head, and he's got big round ears. They're big and like they stick out, but they're a little more rounded on the ends. And his eyes, you realize that his eyes are actually that idea of like a dog in light. Like even when there's not light reflecting in them, they're very like mirror and like greenish. He's got kind of a Gollum from the 1970s Hobbit cartoon vibe to his eyes. But yeah, and he's just kind of walking along with you, sort of. He's a bit of a trouble. And yeah, he's pretty darn cute for a little monster. And as you all get closer to, well, as you all see Paru getting a little tenser, you find yourselves walking up towards a huts similar to like the igloo thing that the that Madcap's place is, but it's like a series of them. It almost looks like a moon base made out of mud. And there are all these little connecting little igloos made of mud brick, and there's like little dim candles. And around the little perimeter of this this homestead, and sort of as far as you can see, there are these fields of mushrooms, again in this sort of uneven growth. They almost become their own waving hills as some of them get a little thicker and denser in spots. The topography. And you start approaching the front of the homestead. Paru, do you take the lead, presumably? Can't hear you. Try turning it off and on again? I will fill in with some more. We will confirm when we hear you, but I'll keep describing as you figure that out. It's okay. So the as Chim had described, you do see in the distance there is a point in these mushroom fields as you see and there's just dirt, and you do see a couple of lights and more signs of this like whirring machine getting pushed, but currently it is stationary because there appear to be a little gathering of these monodrones. Sound of a person shouting. You can't understand them because they're shouting in Goblin, but the tone of it, you get the sense of at least the sentiment of the message, if not the content. So, Chim is sort of wandering backwards now, staring over at you or up at you, Oliet. Like, okay. So there was this time where you beat this rock turtle dude. He had like a snapping beak and he was all ferocious and he had tattoos all up in his. You remember that? You remember that when you did that?
Of course.
Yeah. I remember this one time when you did this. So you fought these two guys that were
Can you guys hear me now?
Hold on.
Oh god.
If you need to, you can try like hopping out of Discord and hopping back in.
1 second, because I can't
think
hear
she-
anything.
Oh, there
Hello.
we go.
Oh,
You
there
are.
we go.
Yeah.
We got you now. Don't know what happened. We can hear you.
Oh,
She can't hear us.
hear you.
Oh
One
no.
second.
The opposite.
Okay,
We can
we're
hear you,
almost
though.
there.
We're
We're
almost
halfway there.
Can I hear you now? What has gone completely banana? Okay, take 2, take 3. Okay, now I can hear you. You guys can hear me? Okay, so short it out. I have no idea, no. Well, I don't know if there was any sound because I couldn't hear anything. And all of the... Oh, okay. Oh, God. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I went dark at the... I heard someone shouting, and then my brother trying to tell Kat, about her own exploits, We are audible on the stream. Okay, 1 second. 1 second. I think what happened is... Yeah, I had... there we go. That should change it. I had to change all of my inputs back because my earbud shorted my microphone. So it shorted everything. I had to reset.
That's incredible. Oh my god.
Apparently it is not meant to be for me to wear my hat.
Oh. The Gaba Yaga will you her blessing someday.
Yes.
So let's settle. We're almost done. We're about 15 minutes over when I normally do it, but it's fine. It's about story. It's about quality, not quantity. As in more quantity than expected. As you are going towards the homestead and Chim is rattling away, and you hear shouting at these monodrones in the distance. House. You see a bunch of forms running around the mushroom fields, your brothers and sisters and siblings. There are, I have to imagine, dozens of them. You know, you have,
Yeah. Angela, I apologize. You keep cutting in and out for me, so if I miss a word, it's... Okay. I don't think it's on your end. I think it's on mine.
Okay. Well, what do you do as you're getting closer?
Honestly, I kind of just keep myself focused on the goal of the door because I'm like, I don't want to get distracted and get upset with the things going on, and I don't want to bring too much attention. The only reason I called Jim out was because he was hurling slugs at people. So
specifically at Harlan and you all, but yeah.
Yeah, so she just is like, okay, no, I'm gonna just go walk to the door, because if I get to the door, then we're almost done, and then we can leave and we can go to Kat's and duty's done, and maybe we'll pick up a job or something in town, get some money, and move on to the next place.
Sure. You hear a little bit of baby complaining. Not crying, just, unhappy noises coming in from, and it's like a mix between a baby and like a gurgle. Like it's not a pleasant noise. And you know that like your sibling is probably strapped to your mom as she's working.
Yeah.
And Chim like sidles up next to you to the door, like, you gonna go in?
Mm-hmm. You coming?
Yeah.
Thought you were a voting bum.
Oh, I want to see this.
Goody. All right, let's go. She opens the door.
Oh. open the door. And inside is like a mix between a farmhouse and Yoda's hut.
Of course.
Everything is like mud and ceramic, but not poorly made. That's all. Big table, long dining table, more of a mound in the ground, molded into the ground, just a long way to sit down, and you see a bunch of goblins. Well, probably about Paru's old age, previous age. It's probably the better way to put it. You have a lot of siblings. You're one of the younger ones, but there's maybe 12 older than you. And you see a bunch of them running around, and you see your mother. Your mother is a little more in appearance in that style of goblin. She's got slitted eyes, in kind of like a pink, and her skin is a more blue gray, and she's got kind of a instead of this like wide head like Jim has, it's a little more blocky and sort of there's a slight like snout, but still angular, very kind of intense. But she's got this little blue goblin baby sort of. I mean, it's sort of a little like wrap to keep the baby on her back, against her back, sort of thing. But it also kind of it also vaguely duct tape to her.
Oh my god!
It's not actually what it is, but there's the vibe there. You see little clawed feet kind of anxiously, like irritatingly, as she is to the wall and off the wall. Maintenance, things kind of grow. Clean it up. It's like she's doing this sort of like wall, like ma.
I'm so sorry. Keep breaking up for me.
It's okay.
I'm wondering, do we need to change servers?
I can pop out.
That would be great. I'm so sorry.
We try. I wonder if that's any better.
Yeah, it works for me. Thank you. It may also just have been me at my end, and I'm so sorry.
So you just let me know.
Yeah.
Are watch her as
I'm gonna pop out and pop in. Sorry.
out.
All right, let's hope that works. Oh
All
yeah, now I'm green. Okay, maybe that'd have been it.
Okay. So, ma! One moment, child. You do note that occasionally it's hard to tell the kids apart, so she just defaults to child until she turns around so she can identify who is who. You watch as your mother turns around and looks to each of you in a little bit of a like eyes narrowed, then centers on Chim. What did my son do?
Oh, he didn't do anything. He's fine. I brought you a gift. And she holds out the bottle of the favorite from...
Oh. Haven't really had him drugged back home and then been given a present. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And she...
We're not dragging
For
him
the-
home, but...
Yeah. And he just quietly shoves slugs back in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Really wants to get out of his pocket.
This
Looks at
is
the bottle and she's like, "Thank you very much." And she holds her hand out.
It's Paru.
Excuse me?
Hi, Mom. It's me.
It totally is her.
She smiles, same flat teeth as they were before.
She went to some sort of imprisonship.
Internship.
Oh. He was really right the first time.
Yeah.
I don't. And she kind of looks down at, like, up and down at you. I don't.
I really just kind of came to let you know that I'm okay and that the acclimation center went well, and I was offered a opportunity for growth and took it.
Growth.
Yes, to become a better citizen. It was a intensive internship.
Apparently.
It takes place in a pocket dimension, so you can spend a longer time there learning what you need to, and then come back in a shorter amount of time to be a responsible member of society.
Huh.
She
Well,
is trying to channel as much Oliet bullshit as she possibly can right now.
Pretty good bullshit.
I learned from the best.
You, well, it's a shame it apparently so long to lessons on you, but I'm glad. Welcome home.
She winces a little bit about that one.
Not to interrupt, but it was kind of a fixed length of a term. It wasn't really up how long she was in the program.
I thought you were trying to say up to par, and then you made a pun, but you really weren't saying that at all.
I'm sneaky like that.
It's fine. It's fine. And you, and in the same way that she looked Paru up and down, but is just like, there's a lot more to look up and down. Just still very confused. I'm sorry.
These are my friends who were part of the internship program with me. This is Harland. This is Beza. And Kat was nice enough to escort us back home. I have problems seeing in the dark, as you know, so she was kind enough to lend us a hand.
You do make the oddest friends, Paru. I'm glad, though, that you've made friends.
You don't have to worry. I mean, you don't have to worry about feeding us or anything like that. We're not staying. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that I was fine and safe and everything's bright as rain.
I suppose. Thank you for. The hesitancy is coming a little bit from the "everything is right as rain" comment.
Mm-hmm.
You should wait, though. Your father will be back soon, I think. He's
directing. It sounds like.
Yeah. They don't seem redirection.
No, they aren't.
Does he require any assistance?
Do you know how to speak what they speak?
Yeah, unfortunately
No.
not.
Sorry, I am terribly rude. It's Mastruma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Vitriga Mastruma. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Welcome to our home, such as it is. And she's just she's processing. There's a lot. It's a lot.
Do you want me to give you a hand carrying so you have
Oh.
your hands free, or is there anything I can do to help?
Well, you could, I have most of it in hand here. You could, and she looks out to the field, out in the open door, and then stops. Why don't you all just take your ease? It's a bit of a walk. I assume you came from Chanterelle.
Yes.
Well then, come on, sit down.
All right.
I'll, and it's complete nonsense. Of course, I will feed you. Sit.
Thank you.
And it's a little. These are goblin sized. It's just a low bench.
Beza's fine.
Yeah, Beza's fine. So Vitriga sits. She gets you some, basically some. What would be the goblin equivalent of a charcuterie board? A very, very blue cheese. Something that left in moisture for a very extended time. I don't like blue cheese, so
I
this
love
is just
blue cheese. I'm
fine.
like, all right, give it to
It's
me.
fine. So it's like a whole tray of crumbles of this like blue, green, white cheese. And she is she does go for some, like, you see that there's like a bread box essentially, but it's full of mushroom chunks, lots of different types. And she goes to the box and hesitates again and goes for basically some like hardtack crackers. So it's a cheese and crackers. And she just sort of like spreads them out and there you go. Do you
Thank you.
And she looks at the bottle. She's like, would you like to, you're old enough now, I suppose. Would you like to share the bottle? I can
Oh,
I
no,
can
no,
open
no.
it.
That's for you and Dad. It's, I couldn't. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Oh, okay. And she
We
turns
had
back
some with Cat before we came, so.
Oh. Great. Turns around with the bottle and you see the little baby goblin like and not because she's spinning really fast, it's just making weird noises. It's like a cat goblin drunk at the tavern.
Well, she's not in the office right now, so I can't make her do it.
Mm-hmm. And there's just sort of this tension, this awkwardness. It's kind of what you imagined when you first met Harlan's family, but they just sort of melted immediately. And you know, everyone's gonna take news differently, but you also heard Kat's story about what happened to them after they did not get off easy for sending Paru away. Yes.
From a some and is not directly engaged. Wait, me?
You
What?
were for a second.
No,
No,
but-
you're not. Sorry.
No, but now that she
weird.
has her back turned.
That's really weird. Yeah, now that we're not she's kind of diverted her attention from us, I would like to cast Detect Thoughts on Paru's mom.
Sure. So, as a subtly murmur, it can't be silent, but
Right.
you probably wait for a slight. She's sort of chatting a little loud from the kitchen, and you're just kind of like, you sort of speak soft and with that sort of focus, you hear sort of like an echo, and you hear this stream of consciousness happen, and it's just this mix of, I mean, what am I supposed to do? What am I expected to react? I mean, this is bizarre. This is so weird. She's just, I mean, I didn't understand much to begin with, but I mean, I missed everything, and I don't know what kind of person she is, and I don't know whether I'm just crazy or what is Strigo gonna think? I mean, I don't know what to do here. I don't know, God. And she's just kind of freaking out, not in like a hateful way, just
Sure.
not feeling equipped. You go any deeper? Do you continue listening?
I'm gonna stay tuned in. I don't want to probe deeper into her current thought pattern.
Okay.
But I will kind of
keep surface.
Yeah, in my worst but best cat impersonation, just be like, I already forgot how she sounds.
She's just sort of like, hey, whatever. She's
nice to be home, right?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Home.
You
must be really proud.
I'm glad she's safe. We weren't. And she kind of pulls out some. She's pumping from like a sink, and there's basically like a surprisingly affected. And she's passing out water in them, and Olia, as she's answering that way, as she's saying that, you hear her thinking, we didn't know deal. We didn't know what to do with her, and oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to say here. Maybe she just stays longer. It'll get easier. It'll get more normal. It'll be normal. What's ever been normal with Paru? And she just doesn't have, like, even mentally doesn't seem to have the vocabulary.
Okay. Well, my minute's probably almost up, but the last thing I'm going to say to try...
Is it a minute? I thought you could hold longer than that.
No, it's only concentration up to a minute.
Okay.
But the last thing I'm going to say before I feel that fade out is, what a fine example of what a goblin should be. Am I right?
Oh my God! What a.
I want to hear what she thinks about that.
Know what kind of is what she thinks.
Okay.
I'm afraid I'm sure. I'm afraid I don't know much about you. If enough time has passed.
Yeah, I know it's been a while. I know it's a little strange. I guess time passes differently in the pocket dimension. It's one of the reasons why it's so intensive, and it basically gives you a lot of information in a relatively short amount of time here. So that way we're able to get back to it. And I mean,
Well,
yeah, I won't be able to stay very long because we do have jobs and things to do. So since we basically
oh, you have a job.
yes, we've been working a little bit with the metronomes, the metronome. There was actually, I don't know if you heard that there was an actual issue with the tracks today, and we it's one of the reasons why that train was late. So we were part of the team that cleared the tracks and things like that, so we can continue moving as things are appropriate.
That is that's impressive.
Thank you.
You seem more settled in yourself.
I think it just took some time for me to be okay with who I am. And understanding who that is. It's I had a very good mentor. She taught me some wonderful things and helped me be confident in myself.
Oh, even though you're still like focusing on her reactions and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to just keep what I'm trying to do as a player. I'm really trying to get a read on. My question is, why is Paru so nervous to be here? I get the whole suddenly we're way older, so that part's weird. But she seems far more uneasy than made her be than I've seen her ever. So I'm trying to get a read on something going on here, or something. Maybe mom knows something that Paru doesn't. So I'm really just trying to kind of read her expression, thoughts. Trying to get deep on mom.
The round is out as you're gauging her.
Ooh. Hold on.
Sorry, what did you get?
21.
21, okay. So I don't know Oliette's history with this sort of thing, or if she would recognize this, but there's just kind of there's a distance between them that has maybe always been there. I mean, Paru's sort of this before, and given your understanding of her history with her parents and the fact that they are sort of the ones that let the authority take her, you get the sense they just didn't know how to get her and didn't understand her. They felt sort of, like I said, ill-equipped, at least from her mother. That's what you're gathering. And that mix of confusion and care, but feeling out of her depth. Maybe that's just Paru has always been. And it's not like there's anything wrong with Paru. She's not.
Bless you.
Thanks.
She's not.
Yeah.
The exemplar of what a goblin typically is. Makes it hard to manage.
Okay.
So yeah, there's just an awkwardness.
Okay.
An attempt Seems just like there's just a wall that is.
Does it
hard
seem
to-
like she wants us to leave?
She's trying to play host. Seems like she's genuinely trying to play
Cool.
host.
Cool.
We will say the next several. I very much like this, but eventually, hear boots coming in from outside, and just kind of goblin grumble.
Hart immediately stands back up. Just as, almost reflexively.
My heart. Yeah. And you watch as a very long-faced goblin, sort of stern looking, very comes in, is sort of muttering in goblin and sort of like off, and you watch as Chim pulls out his slingshot and puts a tiny little clay pebble into it and like hits. It's already gone. And he sort of like shoots, and it like bops their dad on the shoulder, and he sort of sees it, and he picks it up, and he just goes, he flicks it back at Chim, and Chim's like, ah! And he seems gruff, but like fun enough. He plays off Chim all right, and he kind of comes in
mutters
at,
out, he's got better aim than you, Chim.
I've been practicing. Stink eye.
Don't choose a big blue target. Try to aim for something smaller.
Puts the slingshot away. Stops. Your father sort of stops in the middle of the doorway and glances at everyone, and he says in Goblin, "Full house." And your mother says, "Striga, you should sit down." And we'll basically do a cut to black as your father steps in and and we'll address that next time. So, session, apologies. I didn't mean to go an hour over, but it was very good. I'm very glad that we got to hang out in Chanterelle, my new favorite town. So that is the end of chapter 12. We will have next week. Actually, yes, next week. As yet untitled. I don't know yet. This episode could very well have been titled that Road Trip Rebound. Because at least Harlan made an attempt.
Mm-hmm.
I think a very successful attempt. Anyway, of our episode, we are here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, here for Shenanigoons. Thank you all so much for watching. We had a really kick-ass raid from Perception Studios and a couple of other folks. I am very see a bunch of new faces in Love Laugh Lindy. Thank you so much for the raid. That's awesome. And for the new followers and subscribers that we had, Goth Marine, thank you, and Stormborn Crow, thank you. You two kick ass. Those are two of my players. You're amazing. And thank you all for watching. We're really excited to continue the story with you. 13, don't read into the number. And we hope that you continue spending time with us with our D&D game. Once again, we are part of the Nerdsmith Network. You can find out more at nerdsmith.org, or if you liked the show and you want to support us, and we're not currently streaming, so you can't throw chaos at us, you can find us at patreon.com/nerdsmith and find out ways that you can support us and get some cool bonus. Much to Eldred, their really beautiful fantasy miniature designs that we use for our characters. We would like to thank World Anvil for always being a supporter of the network way back from the beginning. We really appreciate it, and they are an amazing community and an amazing company for your world building and campaign management needs. Also, thank you so much to Die Hard Dice for continuing to be an incredible group of people making just really beautiful dice and other dice products that we all adore using. And once again, if you use the code Nerdsmith-2021, sorry, I forgot to fix that. I knew I was doing something, but it's almost like I was running a game while I was doing it. It was very weird.
Right?
Other than that, I will have that fixed like right after stream ends. So Nerdsmith and off your purchase on Die Hard Dice, so please check them out, and we will see you here next week. Thank you so much, players. Y'all are amazing. You were hilarious and also like heartbreaking and also really fucking smart, because y'all are, and I adore playing with you all. So please come join us next Tuesday. Tomorrow night I'll be running Discover RPG. There's a very solid chance I will be playing a video game. I've been doing a lot of Monster Camp with some of my friends. We're doing where we voice all the characters and have a random wheel every time a new NPC gets introduced. We to see who gets to voice it. I also recently got Mysterium. If you've played the board game, there is a video game version, and you can play it on local multiplayer, so we could stream it. And I'm very excited. So maybe I'll run that if a few people want.
I love Mysterium.
There's a campaign mode. It's very cool. It has like very cool.
Excuse me?
Anyway, please check us out. That is 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, so slightly earlier. And I usually run for about an hour. So it's a nice, easy breezy hangout and chat with us. Next week, Tuesday at the time I said before. It'll also be on the screen that we put up at the end. Please have a great week, a safe weekend. Do your best to make good choices, and we will hopefully see you next time. And please do me a favor and be good to each other. All right, everybody, to be continued next time.